in the Tokyo Dome. What an upset. Tyler, you and I had a front row seat. This was an absolute epic game, and pretty much the biggest game in the history of Chinese Taipei baseball.
Absolutely. This program was able to capture a win over a rival in Tokyo, and that's one of the major building blocks for Chinese Taipei baseball. Now, the next step for this team is the World Baseball Classic. 2013 went through the qualifiers, made it past the first round into the second round. 2017 was a disaster. They retooled, rebuilt. Last time out, very good team, but still find their way into the qualifier here. This is an important one tonight against a really good team in Spain.
Yeah, it really is. And look, you got to think about this as well with Chinese Taipei. This is a completely different roster than what we saw in November, which is kind of shocking, really, because of all the success. But they're rebuilding now. All of a sudden, they've got these young prospects, a lot of prospects over in the United States who we get a chance to watch in their early 20s up against Team Spain, which is going to be tough.
Just one returning player from that Premier 12 team in November. They wanted to get their other guys rest, so they bring a very young group into this World Baseball Classic qualifier. Now, on the other side, Spain tonight, a team that had a chance to qualify on back-to-back days to make it into the 2023 Classic. They were unable to do so, falling in Regensburg, Germany.
Yeah, and look at that game against Great Britain. They had a really talented team. A lot of guys from the United States that had some of their Great Britain heritage. Harry Ford, big prospect with the Seattle Mariners. Man, what an upset that was in the 9th inning. And then Czech Republic, a team they beat 21-7, upset them 3-1. Epic qualifier, but not so much for Spain.
Spain has been trying to figure out the best group to bring in another chance to qualify for the Classic. They feel like they've got them here tonight. Spain and Chinese Taipei lineups and first pitch next from the Dome. Ready to roll on this Friday evening here in Taipei, and the starting lineup for Team Spain is announced by manager Nelson Prada, a guy who works as a manager in the Miami Marlins organization and leads his team for the second World Baseball Classic qualifier in 3 years. A really talented lineup, and Ryan, a very deep lineup. You get into the 6, 7, 8, 9 spots. Maybe the best prospect of this team is in the 9 hole for Spain tonight. That's Carlos Colmenares, as the first pitch of this evening is fouled back, and we are underway at exactly 7:05 local time here at the Taipei Dome.
Yeah, and they're going to be taking on Chang, who was a late addition to this team. We talked about all the young players. He's 22 years old.
Ball lifted out to left field, and Chao Lin is there to make the grab. 1 up and 1 down.
Yeah, a late addition. Had a couple injuries, but he was someone who was pitching against him in an exhibition game and was added late. So this could be a bit of an opener situation. Yeah, talking to some of the Chinese Taipei faithful, some of the people who follow this team very closely. That man right there on the left of your screen, the manager of this Chinese Taipei team. A lot of pressure on him. They got to qualify, get back to the World Baseball Classic. Pulling out all the stops here with this pitching staff.
Hao Ju-sung, the manager of this squad, who led that Premier 12 championship team for Chinese Taipei in November. And Ryan, we got a chance to talk to him yesterday. And You know, you asked him, does it feel risky bringing such a young group into this World Baseball Classic Qualifier when you had this veteran group at Premier 12 that was so successful, won a championship, the first major level championship in the history of this program? It was a line drive out over the leap of Two-Way Lin, the former big leaguer, and on into right center field. And the first hit of this game belongs to Angel Beltre, as a one-out base runner is aboard for Spain in the top of the first.
Yeah, Angel Beltre, saw a little bit of him. Big-time prospect, was in a big trade, going from the Boston Red Sox to the Texas Rangers, the Eric Gagne trade back in, was it 2007? And here he is, representing Team Spain here in 2025.
And that will bring up a guy who has done some pretty amazing stuff in the European leagues in his career. Wander Encarnacion, who bats out of the 3 spot in the order, the third baseman today. Encarnacion playing this past season for Parma Clima in the Italian Baseball League and helping lead them to an Italian championship. Bounces this one foul. But talking with Hao Ju-sung, the manager of Chinese Taipei, when you asked him, does this feel risky? He said, yeah, it does. It feels risky. Having all these young guys, untested guys, they're playing in this atmosphere. You're looking at a 23-year-old today, and Yoo-Hung Chun, who gets the nod on the pitcher's mound. But even with the risk, Chinese Taipei feels like, as a flare down the right field line is foul, there is so much to be gained from this. They've got a Premier 12 championship winning team from November. Now a team that here in February, if you can qualify from this and make it into the 2026 WBC, then you have almost 2 full rosters with top-level international experience to draw from to get your 2026 Classic team put together. And that is a luxury that not many teams around the globe can afford.
And you think about that too, and look, young team, a lot of prospects, a lot of young prospects that were available to come from the United States in some of these organizations. The team were willing to let them come over here. You know, right time of year, it is February. It's not like spring training's really kicked off just yet.
Swinging a fought-off flare toward right field. That one falling quickly, and it's off the glove of Long and down and right, but quickly to it. He goes to second for the force, and it's your old Garden variety 9-6 put out at second for the second out of the first inning.
Yeah, Beltre really didn't have a choice right there. I mean, he captured that ball, but kind of caught in between, but just a good job of staying with this ball. Look, he's played off this turf plenty of times out there in right field. Good throw, getting that lead running.
Pochun Long out at right. I mean, you will notice as we look at these Chinese Taipei players, there are a lot of baby faces out there. There are guys in this roster still in their teens. You got a 23-year-old starting pitcher who has exactly 1 professional season under his belt as right-hander with the TSG Hawks here in the CPBL, the Chinese Professional Baseball League, the big league here in Taiwan. As the Submariner Chen comes home, and his first pitch up and away to Jesus Ustaris, the cleanup hitter and the first baseman in the order tonight for Spain. But there's a lot of, high-level energy in this building tonight. And so much of it is the anticipation for these fans in Taiwan, seeing this team on the field for the first time since they won in Premier 12. But also, there are a lot of unknowns with this group, and you can tell that's somewhat reflected. There's some anxiety, I think, as to what this team is going to look like here for the next 4 days. Ustaris takes the 2-0 just away, and it's 3 balls and no strikes. Ryan mentioned Yoo-Hung Chun, the starter tonight, was not really much of a thought to be on this roster. He was not even in the first whittled down group for this Chinese Taipei team. He was in the 50-man group invited to camp for Chinese Taipei, and then basically just forced his way onto the squad, kept pitching well. He was not really much of a consideration to be part of the final 28-man group. As a ball tagged toward right center field, and a chance to get to the alleyway at will. Hammered into the gap by Ustaris, flying around third base. Here comes Encarnacion. Throw to the plate is not in time. An RBI double for Jesus Ustaris starts it in the first, a 1-0 lead for Spain.
If there is any way to take this crowd out of it just a little bit, now I'm not saying they're going to go quiet, that is for sure. We're going to hear that noise as this game goes on. but this is one way to do it. And you're watching Chen pitch. He's got that submarine action, and he's floating pitches in the middle of the plate. If you are going to go up in the strike zone, and a lot of times, these guys, especially from Taiwan, we've seen it, where they have that submarine action, you've got to go above the strike zone. Otherwise, it's going to be easy hitting for this Spanish team.
And one of the things that we were told about Chang and the way he pitched his path to get on this roster, he was outstanding. This Chinese Taipei team hosted the Lotte Giants of the Korea Baseball Organization, the KBO, for some exhibition games. And in those exhibition games, Chang looked really, really good. But, Ryan, as you will attest, there is a big emotional difference in playing in exhibition games against a team in front of, still a loud and raucous environment, but maybe a 50% full Taipei Dome versus throwing that jersey on that says Chinese Taipei, playing in the World Baseball Classic, a sellout crowd, the energy, the noise is a very different vibe.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact, too, you didn't actually make the roster, right? Coming into this, you mentioned the fact you're on that whittled down roster. You didn't make it, pitching an exhibition game. You probably got a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. Now all of a sudden, like, hey, listen, we need you on this squad. By the way, you're going to start game one. So you got a lot to prove. Rosemary
Estrada flare to center field. That's down for a base hit. Ustari's off on contact, flying around third, will score. Back-to-back RBI knocks, and Spain in business early on, a 2-0 lead.
And you cannot draw it up any better, obviously, to get these runs early. However, when you come in to these tournaments, and we talked to Prado, the manager of the Spanish team, it's not like you spend a whole lot of time together. It's not like you get this huge lead up into these games to get up to speed. And so for these guys offensively, we saw it today. It took a long time for Nicaragua to get going. Obviously South Africa offensively. If you can get those bats moving quick and jump out to a lead in this short tournament format, man, you are in great shape.
Here is Edison Valerio out of the 6th spot in the lineup. I mean, this is best case scenario for Nelson Prado's group right out of the gate as Valerio fouls one off. And you brought up a good point. I mean, certainly there is no chance that this crowd is going to go quiet. But if you can temper them a little bit and you're the visiting team, that does wonders, because this is an environment that very few people on any of these rosters will have played in.
Right.
And for this Spain group, just to get a chance to see things settling down is massive. Now you already see that is Youngchun Liu throwing in the Chinese Taipei bullpen. The original starter coming into the night tonight was slated to be Shengchun Chu, who is a member of the Tokyo Yakult Swallows in Nippon Professional Baseball in Japan. He was a late scratch, and we have heard potentially there is an injury situation there. We don't have anything confirmed on that, but this was a late and surprising move that was announced last night as a grounder out to short should do it here in the first as Chang gets it to Soe Lin, and that retires the side. But Spain cashes in for 2 in the top of the first inning. We go to the bottom of 1. Spain 2, Chinese Taipei coming up on night number 1 of the WBC qualifier. A right-hander who is very familiar with a lot of guys in this Chinese Taipei order. Elian Leyva steps to the pitcher's mound and gets set to deal the first pitch of his 2025 World Baseball Classic Qualifier and puts it in upstairs to the left-hitting left fielder, Chang. Bat out of the top spot of the order for the home team, Chinese Taipei. Back inside the Taipei Dome, Tyler Mott, Ryan Rowland-Smith. 2 runs in the top of the first inning and a bouncing ball back up the middle, speared on a dive by Carlos Colmenares. Throw in time for the first out of the first inning. Carlos Colmenares, a name that you will want to keep in mind as this WBC qualifier goes along. A Tampa Bay Rays prospect who has been hampered by injuries in his career, but is a really, really bright talent in that Rays system and an outstanding play for the first out of the first inning.
Yeah, Tyler, when you look around this Spain team, look at some of the body language, right? You can walk into an environment like this and be overwhelmed and feel the pressure of it. But we saw even before first pitch, they're bouncing around. Obviously, the hitter, when they're pulling up at the base after a big double in that first inning or in the dugout, there is an energy with this Spanish team. I'm telling you right now, the way it's looking, they're going to be in a good spot as this game gets moving.
Check swing roller out to short is no trouble for Edison Valerio. 2 gone as Chun is retired, and that will bring up the all-world center fielder for this Chinese Taipei team, the captain, Chun. Yu Chang right behind him, Nianting Wu, the 3-4-5 guys are key bats. So Wei Lin, a former big leaguer, out of the 7th spot as well. But there is, again, and this is going to be a theme throughout this World Baseball Classic Qualifier, there's so much youth in this lineup, and you have to count on your veteran guys like Chun, like Chang behind him to provide some stability in this order.
Yeah, the team captain back in the Premier 12 up to bat right now, but the one thing too about this Chinese Taipei team, and I've watched them, I've played against them plenty, they've always played kind of third fiddle when you're talking about Japan, Korea, and then Chinese Taipei. And there's always been that playing tight, you know, and trying to do a little bit too much. So one thing I noticed in the Premier 12, and even going back to the World Baseball Classic, there's a looseness, especially with the veterans too. So with Chen, the way he goes about his business, plenty of smiles, he has a lot of fun. Yu Chang, we saw that in 2023. If you're a young player from Chinese Taipei, you look up to these guys, and they set that really good example. They need some energy though, walking in to this building against Team Spain, because Spain look really good right now.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Chen, the captain. A guy who put together just an absolute dream performance in Premier 12 back in November and crushes one foul down the right field line. Ryan, it's interesting you brought up, you know, Spain's looseness right now, their ability, the way they're playing free. That might be due to one of our favorite guys in the international baseball world, Adam Jones, who was the hitting coach for this team during its training camp, not with them here in Taiwan. When he told me the other day, I told these guys, just play Latin baseball. Get out there, run like crazy, have fun, play music in the dugout, be boisterous, be excited to be there. And so far, they are living up to this moment. And that is exactly the type of attitude you have to have coming in against an environment like this. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Chun, and the 2-2 is driven foul the other way. The other thing, and kind of the pivot point to that, what you're touched on a second ago, Ryan, this is a team that Chinese Taipei, like you said, has always been, when you think of the powerhouses in Asia, it's Japan, then it's Korea, then it's Chinese Taipei. This is the team that has the target on its back. They are the team that the pressure sits on here in this qualifier. And so often, Premier 12 is the perfect example, they are the team that gets to come in as the underdog.
Yeah, you can see Chen too. It's a similar approach to what we saw just a couple months ago. 2 strikes, he is so tough. Continues to put bat on ball, so tough to put away. Try and just flip that ball into left field.
Our guy JP Morosi throughout the entirety of Premier 12 just kept telling us you could plug him into any major league lineup right now. He is a major league level talent. And the 2-2, it's exactly what he does. He serves one into left, and it's down for Chinese Taipei's first base hit. Chun will motor around first and dig to second. A stand-up 2-out double here in the first.
And that's all he's looking to do. Look, Elian Leva has that plus changeup. He goes to it a lot. It's kind of that little split finger grip, and he just flips that ball into left field. We did get a chance to talk to him yesterday, and I had to ask him the at-bat against Togo in that championship game. That ball, that fastball down and in, he was getting a steady diet of splits, fastball down in, took him into right field in the Tokyo Dome. I was kind of shocked because I kept saying, no, all he tries to do is what he did right there to hit that double.
It was a game-breaking 3-run homer in the Tokyo Dome in the Global Championship game of Premier 12 back in November. And a guy who hit the most memorable home run of the 2023 World Baseball Classic for Chinese Taipei, the MVP of the pool, a little ways away from here in Taichung. Chang in the batter's box for his first crack of WBC 2025. Chang was originally supposed to be on that Premier 12 team in November. He suffered a little tweak to his ankle, so he pulled off of that roster. But it might have been a blessing in disguise because now you get to slot him in as your shortstop and your cleanup man here in Taipei for the qualifier. And he takes that pitch in tight, and it's 3 balls and no strikes on him with Nien Ting Wu waiting in the on-deck circle.
Yeah, it is good to see him back in uniform. Those big moments you mentioned in 2023, man. The crowd in Taichung, they went nuts.
3-0 is down for ball 4. They wanted nothing to do with Chang, and it's first and second with 2 gone in the first. Chang, the guy who became known as the Minister of Defense for his celebration in 2023 with his team, a long prospect career. He was with the Cleveland organization initially, a minor league all-star, the Pool A MVP, as we noted, in 2023, and then came back here in 2024 to return to the CPBL, taken first overall by the Fubon Guardians, and played last season with the Guardians here in the 6-team domestic league in Taiwan. Bounced around a little bit. He was at Boston Red Sox camp in 2023, and initially was not going to be part of that WBC roster, and then came back and was a national phenom here in Taiwan during that entire time, and especially since his return to this league.
Yeah, there was some controversy, right, coming back, where the fans kind of turned their back on him because he said, look, I'm not going to play. And then he turned back around and said, no, I'm decided to play. It was kind of like a little bit of a petition from the fans. And he did not disappoint. There was plenty of pressure on him leading that team in 2023.
Chang, after initially, saying that he wasn't going to be part of it, wanted to focus on trying to win a job in Major League camp with the Red Sox. He was visited by government officials to try to talk, not in a disciplinary way. That sounded like, oh, he was visited by government. No, he was visited by members of the administration who were like, hey, we really want you to be part of this team. Can you make this happen for us? He agreed, decided to take part in the World Baseball Classic, and then just went out and put on a show for the entirety of Pool A. As the 1-0 grounded out up the middle, another sliding grab by Colmenares, the Carlos Colmenares show in the first inning out in the field as he gets the final out of the inning on the fielder's choice at second. Fantastic defense from the Rays prospect. We ended the second, 2 early runs for Spain, and a 2-0 lead after 1 in Taipei. Already a pitching change for Chinese Taipei as we head to the top half of the second inning. The right-hander Youngchun Liu will take over on the mound. Just one inning of work for Yu-Hung Chun, who allows 2 runs in the first, and we thought there was the potential. We were talking with some scouts prior to the game. It seemed like maybe it was an opener sort of scenario. Again, there was an initially slated starter who got pulled from that role late. So you go with a different looking starting pitcher in Chun today, who didn't really fool anybody in that first inning, gave up 2 runs on 3 hits, and now Youngchun Liu will take over the Rackets and Monkeys right-hander here in the CPBL as he goes to work against 7, 8, 9. Chris Quitzer will lead things off for this Spain squad out of the 7th spot, the New York native.
Yeah, he had that feeling too. We talked about Chun, who started this game, a little bit of overthinking. You know, and like with some of the conversations we had leading into this game, it was, yeah, is he trying to trick this team? Is he trying to overdo it? Just go with you guys.
2-1 lined out to Yu Chang at short. Leadoff man is gone. There are not a whole lot of Spanish-born products on this Spain roster. In fact, there is just one. There are as many players born in the U.S. on this Spain roster as born in Spain, but of the 28 on this roster, 24 are Spanish passport holders. They're residents or they've obtained citizenship. Chris Quitzer, who was just retired a moment ago, his grandmother came over from Spain, and he has taken part in competitions for this national team before, including in the 2023 World Baseball Classic Qualifiers in Regensburg, Germany. Stung that ball out to short, and now another one that is tomahawked out to left center off the bat of Gabriel Lino, and off the very top of the wall, Spain's catcher has himself a chance at a 1-out double, and he gets in there. Man, that was way closer at second base than I thought it was going to be, but Lino a 1-out 2-bagger to left.
Yeah, Spain getting those pitches middle of the plate and not missing them. I mean, this is a stark contrast to what we saw in the day game with Nicaragua and South Africa, jumping all over these pitches. They got that energy going.
Man, this, I mean, if that throw is even slightly more online, there is a chance at a play there at second. But Lino able to get in there ahead of the tag by Yu Chang. I don't want to pull out the whole, it was a catcher running thing. But in that circumstance, it kind of felt like, oh yeah, it was a catcher running. As it brings up the Tampa Bay Rays prospect, Carlos Colmenares. Colmenares, a really interesting prospect pathway to this point. He signed with the Rays during that COVID year in 2020, did not get a chance to play professionally in the United States until 2022. He did take part in the Dominican Summer League back in 2021, but didn't start his, you know, full-on minor league career until he went to the Rays facility in Port Charlotte, Florida in 2022 and got to take part in Florida Complex League games, but suffered a broken hamate bone along the way in his career, and offensively has not found his way as of yet. Last year, played in the Carolina League for the Charleston River Dogs, and in 94 games hit just .202 with a .593 OPS as he bounces this one foul the other way. But the talent is there. This is a guy who's still very, very young. Coming up on his 21st and a half-ish birthday. November 15th of 03 when he was born, so just 21. And, you know, even though the track for players in minor league baseball has changed a bit, you're 21, you're at A-ball or headed to high A, you still are feeling pretty good about where you are in your career, but he takes a called strike here for the second out of the second.
Yeah, you talked about some of the struggles offensively when you look up some of the numbers, but there's nothing you can do with that painted fastball in on the hands. I'll tell you what though, Tyler, you know, look, you know, he's playing over here at international tournament in front of a packed house. You know, there's more at stake with these games right now. Again, I'm not disregarding anything you do at spring training. It's super important. But when you scuffle a little bit offensively, you know, sometimes when you come into this environment, you're around different voices, different leadership. it can spark something with you. And look, we've seen the talent, and we saw it defensively as well.
Broken bat roller out to short. Chang had to avoid the bat, but he makes the play over to first to retire Andres Angulo. So, 1-out double does no damage, and Spain leaves a man aboard here in the second. We head to the bottom of the second inning. Spain's early runs adding up to a 2-0 lead.
Oh, sir. Sir.
Bottom of the second inning, Ryan has departed the booth. He's the one wearing the big mascot head, dancing on that third base dugout.
I wish.
Tell him to chase his dreams. I'm glad he finally went for it.
Yeah, how fun that would be inside, because no one knows who you are. You can do whatever you want.
I feel like you would be very good at that.
I used to be scared of mascots when I was a kid.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I really did.
The Newcastle Knights, you weren't...
No, it was the Parramatta Eels, the top rugby
okay.
league. If you listen in the United States, you're probably like, who are the Parramatta Eels? It was Eddie the Eel. Used to scare me. 10 years old, he used to freak out.
Leadoff man for Chinese Taipei here in the bottom of the second inning. Yujie Gao, and a pop over to the third base dugout. Wander Encarnacion, great job not giving up on that play. This is a uniquely shaped sort of semicircle behind the plate, and Encarnacion, knowing that there's a good amount of foul territory, goes over to make the grab and retire Gao.
Yeah, the first time you really get a good look at a pop-up, you can see him kind of putting his hands up. You can lose it up there in that roof. We saw a little bit of that in the day game today.
First pitch swinging down the right field line, could be extra bases for Tzu-Wei Lin, and the former big leaguer's got one into the corner. Lin around first, pulls into second, a 1-out double, and Chinese Taipei in business again, a man in scoring position.
You can hear the volume start to pick up here in this building. You know, it's interesting too, Tyler, going back to that World Baseball Classic in 2023 when Chinese Taipei had some big moments. They looked like such a strong team. They didn't get through that first pool, but Elion Leva pitched against them in that day game. If you remember, he got out of a loaded bases jam. Next thing, he got out of another jam, like 2+ innings. But that was crucial. That was a game that put Cuba into the second round, and Chinese Taipei here need to qualify again.
And it did it when Chinese Taipei had all the momentum. Chinese Taipei lost its first game of that WBC opening round, and then rebounded, had the dramatic wins over Italy and the Netherlands, and you felt like, oh, they're through. I mean, this crowd, the energy, the environment, and they came out flat against Cuba on that final day, and Cuba, by winning, and by the result at the end of the night, with the Italy game against the Netherlands, I believe, forced that 5-way tie for all those teams at 2-2. And for Chinese Taipei, I mean, they had the opportunity in their grasp and let it go for naught. So now you look at a circumstance where you're matched up against a guy who you have seen before. But again, virtually none of these bats were in that order. Chang is an exception. Yenting Wu was on that roster.
Well, we'll pay attention right here too. You can see Elian Leyva starting to slip a little bit with the command. You got these young hitters, and you talked about the difference. Had that veteran presence in November, completely new lineup. This is where you have to be smart, patient, and put good swings on balls just like that.
And a great swing there, a hold sign at third, and what terrific base running by Po-Shun Wong, who took a good secondary look after rounding the bag at first, saw that throw get through the cutoff man. It turns into great base running. Had that been cut off, he might be dead to rights at first, but instead he takes the extra bag, and now it's second and third with one out.
They got a good pitch to hit too. 3-1 count, jumped all over it, didn't try and do a whole lot, just stayed up the middle. And that's that approach. When you are a young player, especially for this Chinese Taipei team, you have got so much pressure. Sometimes you try and push a little too hard to do a little extra. And good base running right there. As soon as that ball got to the cut, you had plenty of time to roll into second base, put the pressure on Chinese Taipei.
So now a monster spot for Tsung-Chen Lee, the Fubon Guardians infielder, out of the 9 spot in the order, getting the start at third base today. You know, not only did that end up being great base running, that was very nearly an extremely heady play by Wander Encarnacion, the third baseman, who sprinted over. He knew that throw was going to overshoot the initial cutoff man, and he was trying to get Wong rounding first as a foul pop will settle into the glove of Gabriel Lino. And 2 away now. Lee frustrated with himself. The second foul out of the inning, and it sends it back to the top of the order in Chow Wei Lin.
And this is a big out. I've been in Elian Leyva's shoes where he's starting to scuffle. Volume's starting to go up a little bit in the building. Game's starting to speed up, and then you get nice little easy pop-up. Nothing doing, you got 2 outs.
You also told us a story the other day about you got to pop up in a dome, and sometimes it can be a little tricky, and you're thinking, just please catch this. I need this out. Please catch this ball. Back at the top of the order, the first pitch, a strike to Chow Wei Lin.
Well, I'm going to age myself. That was when I was pitching in the Metrodome, and I was gassed. I had nothing left in the tank. I got someone middle of the line. It was like a Joe Mauer or something popping up, like, please catch that. Now I see my shortstop dancing around like, no. I'm cooked.
I need it.
Off this field.
I need it, man. So second and third, the potential tying runs of this game. Here in the bottom of the second. Out there for Chinese Taipei. Zhao Wei Lin of the Uni President 7-11 Lions here in the CPBL. Shoots one the other way, and the count goes in favor of Leyva. It's 1-2 now. Lin, another really young guy on this squad, just passed his 20th birthday last month, January 11th, 2005. And we have a pitch clock violation, I believe. No, we would not have a pitch clock violation. Or do we? No, we do have a pitch clock violation. That makes it 2-2 now. Our home plate umpire, Ty Kraus, went out and signaled to the starter, Elian Leyva. And Leyva now wants to go through the signs again here with Gabriel Lino. It's the second pitch clock violation that we have seen tonight, and the pitch timer is something to keep in mind because it is in effect for this tournament, but a lot of players in the qualifiers don't play in leagues where there is a pitch timer. So something to keep in mind as a foul ball at the plate off the foot of Chow Wei Lin. Two balls and 2 strikes. On the way, 3-2. Zhao Wei Lin over at third base, Po-Shun Wong at second. Chung Yu Chun, if it gets to him, the designated hitter in the on-deck circle. Elian Leyva. Home on 3-2, and into the glove it goes for a pivotal third strike here in the second inning. 2 men left on as flailing Lin unable to get a piece of it. We'll head to the top of the third. Spain's got a 2-0 lead over the home team. Top of the third inning, it'll be 2, 3, and 4 for Spain with a 2-0 lead. And man, not just pitch timer violations on pitchers, but pitch timer violations on hitters as well, as NL Beltre didn't get into the box in time, and he's going to start this at bat with an 0-1 count. And after one foul ball, it's now 0-2. So this is something that is going to play a factor here in this qualifying round in Tucson coming up next week as well, for the players who are not in leagues where they're accustomed to the pitch timer. Got to be ready to go. 0-2 just off the plate, 1 and 2. Second inning of work for Youngchen Liu, the right-hander from the Rakuten Monkeys, formerly known as the Lamigo Monkeys. 1-2 fouled at the plate. Beltre, 1-out single in the first inning. He was retired on that flare to right field that glanced off the glove of Po-Shun Wong, but left enough time to get Beltre as he tried to advance to second.
Another thing to factor in, we talked about this during the day game, especially with a team like South Africa, Nicaragua, with the pitching depth, but even with Chinese Taipei as well. Like, situation where you have to make that late scratch, you have to mix and match your pitching, you fall into a trap where you start to get that, your guys restricted, where all of a sudden you get to game 2, game 3, and you don't have your guys because of some of the pitch limitations.
And there you see the first rule/regulation listed, those pitch use limitations for all the arms here in the qualifier. 3-batter minimum is enforced. The mound visits are not, as a liner out on a hop past Yu Chang and into center field. First pitch single for Wander Encarnacion, who's on for the second time in as many trips to the plate. 1-out base runner for Spain. But the pitch timer is the big thing, because the Classic, the qualifiers obviously in 2022, and then the main tournament itself in 2023, we did not have the pitch timer in effect. Now, Commissioner of Baseball Rob Manfred did come out the other day and confirm pitch timer will be in effect in 2026 for the main tournament. So there is a kind of a need for, you know, for example, in Japan, as another liner down the left field line, this might be extra bases for the cleanup man Ustaris, who's got his second double of the day. Jesus Ustaris feasting on a Friday night in Taipei, and it's second and third with one gone.
And I'll tell you what, the Adam Jones hitting clinic back in Spain is paying dividends. These guys look so comfortable in the box. Just jumping on pitches, middle of the plate.
Starry's, I mean,
is all over the place.
Yeah, wasting no time in getting after the early count offerings that he has liked. Doubled in the first inning to drive in Wander Encarnacion off of Yu Hung Chun. And now here off of Yung Chen Liu. A double to put runners at second and third. There is a visit to the mound from a pitching legend in Taiwan and a guy who has one of the great nicknames in all of baseball these days. That is Wepeng Lin, who is the pitching coach for this squad. And his nickname, and I have had it explained to me how it became this multiple times by multiple different people in Taiwan. I still barely get it, but his nickname is Daddy Pie.
What are you looking at me for? Like I'm gonna.
It has something to do with during the COVID year, when the CPBL games are being streamed internationally. Taiwan was the first league to get back to playing during COVID. Fans across social media started giving these nicknames to managers in the CPBL, and somehow this has a connection to a cartoon somewhere where there's a character named Pie. Daddy Pie became the nickname. It makes me uncomfortable. Liner to right center, down for base. Spain's gonna add two more as Roosevelt Estrada comes through with his second RBI knock of the day, and the home team on the ropes early. It's a 4-0 Spain lead in the third.
Flush contact all over the Taipei Dome from this Spanish team. This is exactly how you want to draw it up. Not to mention, Tyler, I don't think I've ever seen the Taipei Dome so quiet. Again, going back to November, this place was so loud. Everyone's sitting down, usually they're standing up. And remember the pressure. There is so much at stake. Because you lose game one, then you got to face it. You got South Africa tomorrow and Nicaragua the next day. There is no easy path for this team. Not to mention, we talked about the pitching restrictions, some of the things that when you draw it up, all of a sudden, you have to go off script a little bit and make something happen. Man, Spain are looking really good right now. I still like, back to nicknames. I have to finish up with this. Dylan Unsworth, Sharky, still my favorite nickname.
And man, he pitched like it today. Dylan Unsworth, a fantastic effort for South Africa. 4 1/3 innings, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts for his team. Justin Erasmus came on in relief. 3 2/3, allowed just 1 run on 3 hits over his time on the mound. As you see, Ucheng Wu getting loose in the Chinese Taipei bullpen. South Africa just unable to do enough at the plate, as Nicaragua did enough late in that game, walked off 2-1 winners in extra innings to grab the first win of the World Baseball Classic Qualifier here in 2025. Coming up tomorrow, that Nicaragua team will take on Spain. And Ryan, one thing we talked about with Nicaragua earlier today is you're going to be facing a Spain team that's coming off of the night game. They got to turn around and play tomorrow at noon.
Right.
And if Spain takes a loss, how are they going to respond energy-wise? I don't think energy is going to be a problem for Spain the way this is going so far here tonight. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Edison Valerio. And a big hack and miss. And there is strikeout number 2 for Liu. And with 2 gone, it'll bring up Chris Quitzer.
A good fastball out in the middle of the plate too. We've been seeing plenty of this from the first inning onwards. Just pitches left in the middle of the plate. And you do that with guys who've been playing winter ball, who are up to speed, got their timing down, you're going to get hurt by that real quick.
Check on the runner over at first. Roosevelt Estrada and Jesus Ustari's a combined 4 for 4 with all 4 runs batted in for Spain here in the early going of this one. Spain started so hot in Regensburg 3 years ago, got that monster win over the Czech Republic 21-7 on the second day of that tournament. Chuck String and Quitzer couldn't hold up there. A 1-ball, 2-strike count on him. But man, they are coming to play early. Ball and 2 strikes. Check that, a ball and 1 strike on Quitzer.
You can see him want to go back to that changeup.
Now a ball and 2 strikes.
That's a quality pitch too. Look, you get a swing like you did on the first one. Quitzer missed it by 2 feet. You can live down and away with that pitch. You can see Quitzer just taking a breath right here, knowing that he's going to essentially get that changeup. Can he sit on that pitch? He's got fastball inside.
1-2, fought it off and springing it out toward left field. A good jump from Jiawei Lin, who is there to retire the side. But 2 more home for Spain in the third. And we go to the bottom of the third inning. Tonight's visitors out in front early, a 4-0 lead over Chinese Taipei. Well, it's only the bottom of the third inning, but it really feels like Chinese Taipei has got to start getting its offense on track. It is a 4-0 lead for Spain on night number 1 of the World Baseball Classic Qualifier here at the Taipei Dome in 2025. Tyler Vaughn, Ryan Roland Smith. We laid out the storyline for you coming into this game tonight. This is a Chinese Taipei program that enters this World Baseball Classic here in 2025 with maybe more momentum than any team ever coming into a WBC qualifier, and yet an entirely new roster from the team that won the Premier 12 Global Championship back in November, and a young group that is looking like a young group so far. 4 runs on 7 hits for Spain, no runs on 3 hits for Chinese Taipei. The home team has already left 4 men on base in this game. But a key spot in the order to get things started here in the third. There you get a look at the captain, Chishen Chen, who is in the on-deck circle, the center fielder from the Uni-President 7-11 Lions, and the MVP of Premier 12 back in November is a grounder, kicked over at third by Wander Encarnacion, who's not going to have a play, and a leadoff base runner aboard in the person of Chung Yu-Chen.
And Tyler, so many times in these tournaments, whether it's the World Baseball Classic or the qualifiers, it's the little things. So those extra base runners. Adds to that pitch count, gives you an extra 5 or 10 pitches. We talk about pitch restrictions. We talk about base runners when you got team captain up to hit. Right now with none out here in the third inning.
That is the thing. You do not want to provide extra opportunities for Chishen Chen to bat with men on. And that is exactly what the 31-year-old superstar here in Taiwan will get here in the third. Chishen Chen, Ryan, when we got a chance to watch him in Premier 12 back in November, as that does officially go on the board as an error charged to Encarnacion, no surprise there. He put up a slash line that was so ridiculous that you kind of have to look at it a couple times just to make sure that you're computing it correctly. Chishen Chen, who was named the MVP of Premier 12, he slashed 625, 700, 917 at Premier 12. He hit that game-breaking 3-run homer against Samurai Japan in the Tokyo Dome, and he lines one out to second, but right to the waiting Carlos Colmenares for the first out of the third.
And he's so tough with 2 strikes. We saw that in the first at-bat in this game, but just getting a chance to watch him, you mentioned some of the ridiculous week he had during the Premier 12, but what he does with 2 strikes, good contact. Man, they need to get something going. I know you're looking at this thing at 3rd inning, plenty of time, but man, game speeds up quick and shortens in these tournaments.
And not only that, but I think you want this crowd at its maximum. And
for sure,
it certainly is probably ridiculous if you're watching back in the United States and you're listening to this crowd, you're thinking that's not the maximum. But this, I mean, as far as a game in the Taipei Dome goes, this is subdued.
Big time.
You know, these fans, they're not on their feet right now. This is not max volume. Whereas if Yu Chang was able to find a gap right here and you score your first run, all of a sudden you're going to hear how loud this stadium can get. That is the 10th man tonight for this Chinese Taipei team, and Spain has done a good job of neutralizing that to an extent so far here through the first 2+ innings. 2-0, Chang drives it out to left. Back on it goes Quincer. On cue, Yu Chang comes through. Chinese Taipei's onto the board.
And Tyler, collectively 40,000 people just got off their seats. Yu Chang just cut this lead in half. I'm telling you, there is something about this man when he puts the Chinese Taipei uniform on, the magic comes out. And just like a continuation from 2023, some big moments here early in these qualifiers.
That, I don't know if I have ever heard a more perfect description. There is something that changes in Yu Chang when he is playing with those colors and that uniform on. And he has just sparked his team with its first runs of WBC 2025 as Chinese Taipei onto the board. And right now you hear the crowd that we were talking about. This is a different level of energy from 90 seconds ago, and that was considerable, but this is where it gets to a point where it rattles you. 2-0, fouled back into the screen, or the 2-1 rather.
Now, I'll tell you,
move faces and even count out.
I'll tell you what, more importantly, inside that dugout too. If you're a 22, 23-year-old, this is really your first chance to play in a big game for your country. And all of a sudden you see your guy Yu Chang played the big leagues, had the big moments a couple of years ago. You can all of a sudden take a collective breath if you're one of these young players. I've been there before, played in the Olympics.
This one's ticketed for extra bases as well. It's down in the alleyway off the bat of Nianting Wu. Digging around second base, Wu will hold there. He follows Chang's homer with a double, and the tying run coming to the plate in the third.
And there it is, and again, it can be contagious. I'll finish this thought. I played the Olympics and we're the underdogs, that's for sure, and playing against Japan. And you're a young player and you've got some of these veterans who you watch play, you look up to, and you just don't want to mess up. You play tight. All of a sudden, one of these veterans do something big just like that right there from Yu Chang. And that weight goes off your shoulders, and you can start to relax and enjoy the moment a little bit more.
We'll get our first visit to the pitcher's mound from Manuel Oliveira, the pitching coach for Spain. You know, to draw a comparison that a subset of American fans would get right now, if you are playing the college football video game these days, this crowd is at the level where your controller is shaking, you can't select a play correctly. That is what happens in this ballpark. And Ryan, you pitched in environments like this in the Tokyo Dome, you pitched here in Taiwan. I remember you telling us this story during the Classic in 2023. When you're an opposing pitcher, there are times when you want to step off the mound and think like, can these people be quiet and let me think for a second?
Oh yeah.
And when they don't, it gets draining in a much more manifest way than just pitching through a stressful situation. There's an added element to it.
For sure. Look, the chants, the drums, the music, it just continues throughout the pitch, right? So, you know, obviously in the United States, playing in front of some big crowds, it's loud, but there's not I call it the relentless sound of that 10th man you're talking about, and you get that here in Taiwan, you get that in that Tokyo Dome. You hear the chants right now, it just doesn't stop.
2 balls and a strike. Good pitch there from Leiva to get into the count. Yuche Gao, the catcher, out of the 6th spot in the order. The CTBC brothers backstop. Fouled out to third base in his first trip to the plate. He takes the 2-1 down, and it is a hitter's count now at 3-1 with Yenting Wu in scoring position. I mean, we have gone from, after the line out by Chang and 100% of this ballpark sitting down, 100% of these people are on their feet right now, and it's first and second after the walk to Gao.
You see that pitch count, 59 right now. So, again, we talked about this from the Chinese Taipei team, but for Spain, in regards to how much depth they have, you're going to see a change right here. This is where you start tapping into that depth. If you can get deep into that bullpen from that Spain team, hitting becomes a lot easier, that's for sure.
And Chinese Taipei has officially chased Elian Leiva. Leiva wriggling off the hook in the first and second innings. He stranded a combined 4 men. But here in the third, he hits the wall, and Spain will go to the bullpen for the first time. 2 home, 2 aboard. Spain turns to the relief corps here in the third. They are re-energized at the Taipei Dome as Spain goes to the bullpen for the first time tonight, and Ramon Rosso takes over on the pitcher's mound in relief of Elian Leiva. He goes to work against Siwei Lin, the former major leaguer, a guy who doubled in his first trip to the plate. 2 runs home on the Yu Chang homer here in the third. And the tying runs on run the base paths as Lin could not hold up there, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes on him. Ramon Rosso, a former big leaguer with the Philadelphia Phillies, out of Santo Domingo in the DR, as you can see. Debuted during the COVID season in an empty ballpark in 2020. Initially signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers back in 2015, was released, ended up finding his way to the Phillies organization. And a 1-2, he blows by the swing and miss of Tse-Wei Lin, and he's got a strikeout of the first man he sees.
Yeah, you can see that velocity, 96, 97 from Rosso, but you mentioned the fact he got let go by the Dodgers. Had a chance to have a tryout with the Phillies. And man, did it pay dividends getting the chance to pitch in the big leagues over a couple seasons.
He was essentially set to give up on baseball. He was back home and was going to work as a mechanic with his father in Spain, and got talked out of it, got talked into giving it one more go, got that tryout with the Phillies that Ryan mentioned, and made it work as a foul ball toward the third base side makes it a quick 0-2 count on Boshuan Wong. Wong singling last inning, but there is the man of the moment, Yu Chang, over in the first base dugout. He's the man of the moment in a lot of moments when it comes to Chinese Taipei baseball. He's got his team on the board here tonight with the 2-run homer to left, our first home run of the qualifier here at the Taipei Dome. Ball and 2 strikes on the right fielder Wong. Count even on him now at 2-2. At second base, Yen Ting Wu, who followed Yu Chang's homer with a double. Yu Jie Gao walked behind him as Wong looks to get Chinese Taipei a little closer here in the third. 2-2. Not going to be able to do it there. Back-to-back strikeouts for Rosso, and that retires the side here in the third. But Chinese Taipei breaks through offensively. Who else? The Minister of Defense crushes a 2-run homer. We'll go to the fourth. Spain out in front, 4-2. New arm into the game for Chinese Taipei as we head to the top half of the fourth inning. The Oakland Athletics prospect, Wei-Un Lin, takes over on the pitcher's mound for the home team. Back inside the Taipei Dome, some new energy in this building as Chinese Taipei has its first couple of runs on the board. And the left-hander Lin going to work.
Excited to watch this kid pitch. 19 years old, he's 6'3". Signed for $1.3 million with the Oakland A's, just blowing mid-90s fastballs by these hitters.
He is so much fun to watch, and Ryan, being somebody who has worked a bunch of these international events, now we kind of get to be the equivalent of like international baseball hipsters being like, oh, I bought that album before it was a big thing. Wei-Yin Lin pitched in the U18 Baseball World Cup a couple of years ago. He threw 13 innings, struck out 14, and walked just 1. Did not allow an earned run, and that's really when he kind of burst onto the scene. He's still just 19 years old, but the thing that you pointed out is sort of his asset. He is a big framed guy. He's listed at 6'3", 175, so he's bigger than a lot of pitching prospects that will sign from here in Taiwan. He also has the projectability to continue to add to this frame, because you see him, he's still a little bit lanky. As he continues to add muscle to that frame, as a little blooper to left will get down in front of the racing Wei-Yin Lin, and Lin with a hard fall on that dive is slow to recover. He may have smacked his face off of the turf. That becomes the concern now. Ooh, no, the ball got him.
Man, that hurts.
So we're going to visit to left field from members of this Chinese Taipei staff. Man, that is a scary way to take that baseball.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, on that ricochet off the turf, the ball does not get deadened a whole lot coming off of this turf surface. This is a multi-use facility, so it's not quite just a field turf surface, for example, like you might find in a dome stadium in the US. They use this place for concerts and for other sporting events, and so it's a little bit different type of playing surface. It's not AstroTurf either, but it's not quite as much give as you might find in some facilities. And man, that is a really the worry, I think, is probably that hits you in the side of the head and kind of rattles you a little bit. Are you all of a sudden looking at, do we need to do a concussion protocol sort of scenario here for Lin? That is scary for Wei-Yin Lin.
The other thing is too, obviously the ball hit him off the side of the mouth, and he's quiet inside this building. But also just that whiplash too as he hit the deck. You can see the translator sitting there with the trainer right now, just making sure that jaw, he can move it around, taking his time.
Scary stuff. Wei-Yin Lin, thankfully, to his feet, and looks as though he will stay in this game. That is great to see. So Carlos Colmenares is aboard on the bloop single. And Wei-Yin Lin will go to work against the top of the order now, and Andres Angulo.
Tyler, we're talking about some of these young pitchers with Chinese Taipei. One thing I've noticed, and you mentioned the fact we've had a chance to watch plenty of international baseball, especially this Chinese Taipei team. Talked about kind of their history has always been kind of that third tier to career in Japan. The one thing that's kind of always lacked, well, two things, matter of fact, with these pitchers. Number one, the velocity hasn't quite been there in the past, right? And also to the mound presence. So like watching this young man right now, 19 years old, he has some presence about him. And look, that's something you see in Latin America a ton, you see it in the United States, where you got that alpha, that presence, where you're in control. Not to mention the fact he's pumping 95s. We saw that too. Wei-Yin Lin, the D-backs prospect, who's not here. He's back in camp with the Arizona Diamondbacks. I was blown away by this young man in the Tokyo Dome, basically owning that place. And we're seeing that right here with this young man as well. This is something that is, to me, I pitched here as well, pitched here a few years back. This is kind of new, watching these guys here in Chinese Taipei, the way they go about their business.
Wei-Yin Lin in that U18 Baseball World Cup in 2023, helped pitch his team to the World Championship final. They ended up falling to Japan at Tianmu Baseball Stadium, just a little ways away from here in Taipei. But man, I mean, they took this country by storm. And Lin comes from an established, a baseball powerhouse in a place that, Ryan, you're familiar with, in Kaohsiung City, where you spent a little bit of time as a member of the Ida Rhinos here in the CPBL. He pitched at Pingchen High School. A swing and a miss there on 3-2. Runner off and moving will nab second base. Colmenares, an alert jump as Lin kind of lost track of him over at first. So a stolen base for Colmenares, but the second strikeout of the inning for Lin, and that'll bring up Angel Beltre. But a guy who, like you said, the mound presence is there, the pedigree is there. He, in a youth national championship back when he was 11 years old, really became sort of nationally known here. And this is one of those things that, if you are an observer of youth baseball in the United States, it makes you cringe. But he, at 11 years old, won 2 games in one day. He threw over 200 pitches.
Oh my God.
And became, you know, kind of a cult hero after that. No balls and 2 strikes here on Beltre. But all of that to say, this is a guy who has been accustomed to a spotlight for a while.
Yeah, we've seen that good fastball, 0-2 count, left on left. Let's see. He's going to get a fastball right here. I want to see him snap off that slider and see if it's big league. Big league ready. He doesn't need it. Blows the fastball by him.
91 miles an hour, inning over. 3 strikeouts in the frame for Wei and Lin. And we head to the bottom of the 4th inning. Chinese Taipei may be swinging some momentum back in favor of the home team. 4-2 game, Spain leads it. Two, Spain leading Chinese Taipei as we head to the bottom of the 4th inning back at the Taipei Dome in what we knew was going to be a fun night and might already be exceeding our expectations. It'll be 9-1-2. Chinese Taipei will send the 3rd baseman, Sung-Chen Lee, to the batter's box to lead things off. Member of the Fubon Guardians, where he is a teammate. The guy who is the hero to this point for Chinese Taipei, Chang, with a 2-run homer last inning to get his team on the board. Lee out of the 9th spot in the order. Then we'll go back to the top of the lineup. Wei Lin, the left fielder, and the designated hitter, Chung Yu-Chen. As the count runs to 3-0 on the leadoff man, Lee. Here in the bottom of the 4th. Ramon Rosso out there for his first full inning of work after striking out the 2 men he saw in the 3rd. 4-pitch walk to the leadoff man here in the bottom of 4. This ballpark essentially brand new, and it is a wild story of how we got to this point with the Taipei Dome, but it is a gorgeous facility. You can see a symmetrical outfield, 335 down the lines and 400 to dead center field. They're starting to build up the area around this. It's on a historic kind of cultural park setting here in Taipei. A historic stadium in a lot of different ways. A place that can hold these top-level international events in Taiwan in a way that this island has never had before. But this ballpark has been in the works for nearly 15 years. Construction began here in October of 2011, and this facility did not open until December of 2023. And you might be thinking, how on earth is that possible? How does it take 12 years to build a stadium? Well, it turned into legal headache. We'll say there was a stop work order issued by the Taiwanese Supreme Court, as that's going to be an out called on Chao Lin, who must have either stepped out of the batter's box or contacted that ball with the bat out of the batter's box. And Lin is gone. So that is out number one here in the bottom of the fourth inning, as it'll bring up Chang. The work on this site was halted for about 6 years. Construction stopped in 2015. It resumed in 2021. It was finally finished. Check that, it resumed in 2022, was finally finished in 2023. Runner off from first, and a fly ball to right field. Andre Sangulo will go back and line this one up to put it away. And that will bring up the captain, Cheshin Chun. But it's been well worth the wait. And Ryan, we're lucky enough to have done 2 events here over the last 3 months. This place is as cool of a venue as we have worked in international baseball. And I mean, it stands up there with any other space, especially in this part of the globe, being able to host events like this.
Yeah, and I think too, the Taiwanese baseball fans, they kind of deserve it, right? They deserve a place where they can have these kind of events. They're going to pack it out, appreciate the baseball, appreciate this international competition. You get a venue like this, man, it just makes it all the more easier to make these events happen.
When they're at the knees, no balls and 2 strikes.
Again, watching as this game flows along, watching Rosso, you know about the good fastball. You're starting to see that command slip just a little bit. And this is what it comes down to.
Runner off, and the throw to second gets away from Valerio. A stolen base for Tsung-Chun Lee. And a potential 3rd run in scoring position now for Chinese Taipei.
This is what it can come down to if you run out of bullets, right? The Spanish team, they've been potent on offense. Do they have the weapons in a bullpen where they're confident enough to roll them out and then feel good about going into tomorrow? You mentioned the game against Nicaragua, the quick turnaround. Still only the 4th inning.
Big spot here for the captain, Cheshin Chun. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The reason, by the way, for the confusion a moment ago, there was a batter pitch timer violation strike issued to Chao Lin. So where it looked like it was just a 1-strike count, it was a 2-strike count, and that foul bunt made it strike 3. 2-2 pitch, and a flare out on a hop too short. Valerio is there, inning over as he gets it to Jesus Ustaris in time to retire Chun and wrap things up in the bottom of the 4th. Chinese Taipei has left 7 on through its first 4 innings. And we got a 2-run game as we go to the 5th in Taipei. Chinese Taipei heads to the bullpen as we go into the top of the 5th inning. Another young guy onto the mound as Chang will take over after the solid inning out of the left-hander Wei-Un Lin. Will face 3, 4, and 5. Wander Encarnacion, the leadoff man. The third baseman is 2 for 2 so far today, and the two guys behind him are the same. 3, 4, 5 right now for Spain, a combined 6 for 6, at least in terms of reaching base. Encarnacion reached on what went down as a fielder's choice in his first trip to the plate. But these three hitters, Encarnacion, Jesus Ustaris, Rusber Estrada, have reached 6 times in 6 at-bats. They have driven in all 4 runs, and they have scored all 4 runs for the Spain team. As the count goes to 1-1 on Encarnacion. Wander Encarnacion, a guy who you might not know unless you are somebody who's a big fan of European baseball. He played, as we noted, for Parma Clima in the Italian league this past year, helped that team win a championship. But where he has made his name mostly in his baseball career has been in the Spanish First Division. 1-2 pitch and a liner. He's got another base hit. He is 2 for 2. He's been aboard all 3 times in the plate, and no matter where on the globe you put him, Wander Encarnacion just continues to hit a leadoff single here in the 5th.
Yeah, we're just hanging that slider. This is one thing the Spanish team, the offense, they get mistakes, and they're not missing them anything out over the plate. They're putting really good swings on some of these pitches.
So Encarnacion aboard for Jesus Ustaris. And Ryan, you got to figure the approach is going to change against Ustaris, who's been hunting fastballs early in counts. He crushed one down the left field line his last trip to the plate. Down the left field side, he doubled to the right center field alleyway in the first inning. And a no ball 2-strike count quickly from Chang.
Yeah, Wu tried to finish Encarnacion off with that slider, 2 strikes. Stays with the fastball. Sometimes, Tyler, when you come into a game, you warm it up underneath the dugout, you come out, you just have that feel for that pitch. You get to 2 strikes. You want to finish someone off, get that chase with that slider, but you're a little gun shy. He shook off to it. Let's see if we can bury this pitch. Get Ustaris to swing right over it.
1-2 coming, and another base hit for Jesus Ustaris, who's got his 3rd knock and as many trips to the plate. Cutting the bag at second, digging for 3rd. Great base running from Wander Encarnacion, and Spain threatening now with runners at the corners to start the 5th.
And that's just too much plate. He shook to that pitch, and again, sometimes you just don't have the feel for it. You have to make that adjustment within 10 to 15 seconds, whatever that little mechanical cue is, whether it's, you know, feeling that certain finger on the top of the ball, feeling that front foot, whatever it may be, keeping that head still. But man, you keep repeating like that, man, that's good hitting, that slider in the middle of the plate.
So it brings out Wei-Un Lin, the pitching coach for Chinese Taipei, a guy who was the all-time saves leader in the history of the CPBL before he was surpassed this season by a guy who was more than likely going to be the closer on this team, Yunwen Chen, as you get a look in that Chinese Taipei bullpen where the left-hander Nenqing Liu is warming up. Wei-Un Lin, if you were a WBC fan, you will recognize his face because he was the manager of the 2023 World Baseball Classic team for Chinese Taipei. A big hack and miss from Rusber Estrada. Like the 2 guys on base in front of him, trying to reach for the 3rd time today. Estrada, a pair of RBI singles and a chance to add to his big Friday night. Fouls it back, it's 0-2.
Let's see if he goes back to that slider right here, 0-2. He backs himself through one. First pitch of the at-bat, kind of hung it. That was more of a get-ahead pitch.
Estrada, one of the catchers on this roster, a former prospect of the Braves organization. Takes the 0-2 up and away.
So you can see that ball cutting a little bit too, right? So that's basically him getting around that ball. He's kind of trying to overthrow it. He's made a couple mistakes late in the count with that slider. So you can see Cow, his catcher, trying to get him to go up in the strike zone with the fastball, trying to overdo it. And now he's gesturing, get that pitch down. He has to go to that slider. Let's see if he can bury it and get a swing and miss.
2-2 to Estrada. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Just trying to do a little bit too much right here. Yeah, that fastball cutting is not intentional at all. He's just trying to muscle through that pitch. Front side flies open.
Check on Ustari's over at first. This is a big spot in this game. Runners at the corners, nobody out, and the 3-2 is ball 4. They are loaded up to start the 5th inning for Spain.
Yeah, these are really good at-bats, taking advantage of some of that youth. You can just tell by that pitch sequence.
The 3, 4, 5 spots in the lineup now, Ryan, for Spain are a combined 7 for 8 with a walk. And the one time that didn't go down as a hit was a fielder's choice in which Wander Encarnacion reached and later scored. 7 for 8 with a walk. All 4 RBIs and 4 runs scored so far in this game have come from the heart of the lineup for Spain. And they're loaded up for Edison Valerio.
Yeah, that's a big spot for Spain. You can do some damage right here. You got a pitch on the mound. He's a deer in headlights. He is rattled right now. Doesn't have that good feel. There's no lonelier place. There's a good slider right there.
Pulls the string to get a wave and a miss from Valerio.
But you got nowhere to put Valerio. You don't have that good feel, that consistent feel, that timing mechanically.
Valerio 0 for 2 to start his night. And he takes strike 2. 3 straight 2-strike counts. We'll see if Wu can finish one off. Oh, 2. Not on that one.
Yeah, sometimes too, Charlie, look, yeah, if you just don't have it, you're just spraying the ball all over the place. That's one thing. But when you can get to 0-2 quickly and you can't put a hitter away, you can't even get any kind of chase. That can get in your head just a little bit more.
1-2 pitch fouled out of play down the right field line. Ryan, Spain's up to 10 hits now in this game. That walk to Estrada, the first of the night for the Spain lineups. They have done all of their damage just via the hit column. They got a chance to put some distance between themselves and the reigning Premier 12 champions and the home team, Chinese Taipei, here tonight. 1-2 on the way to Valerio. Fouled off.
And Cow, his catcher's just trying to coach him through it right now. You can see all the non-verbals behind the dish. To expand the strike zone. It's going to go back to that breaking ball.
Valerio able to stay alive. It's 20 pitches already without recording it out here for Chang. And the 7th pitch of this at bat coming up. Another 1-2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Really good plate appearances in this inning for Spain.
Yeah, Tyler, good hitter's feast off what you see 60 feet away. He's depleted right now. Gets something to hit. break this game wide open.
2-2 to left center and down, a base hit. Right on cue. Encarnacion scores. Ustari scores. Spain's got the 2 back and a 4-run lead once more here in the 5th.
Tyler, at this level, that's what I'm talking about, right? Exactly, right on cue. Talking about 60 feet away, you see a young pitcher who just looks depleted, right? Cannot put you away, especially with 2 strikes. He's had multiple at-bats in a row, getting to 2 strikes quickly and just nothing doing. And you feed off that energy. That's what good hitters do. And that'll be it for Wu right now.
Wow. So Chang Wu unable to record it out. 4 straight men reach, 2 have scored, and Spain back in control with a 4-run lead. Chinese Taipei going to the bullpen again here in the top half of the 5th. Certainly not the outing out of the bullpen that manager Hao Ju-sung was hoping for from Chang Wu, as Chinese Taipei has to go to the bullpen again here in the top half of the 5th inning. They will summon the left-hander Yenqing Liu, who takes over on the mound. Liu, a member of the CTBC Brothers organization in the CPBL here in Taiwan, and trying to clean up an absolute mess right now. 2 runs home in this inning, 1st and 2nd, nobody out. 4 straight have reached and 2 have scored to start this frame. And Chris Quitzer batting out of the 7th spot in the order, who is, as of right now, one of just 2 men in this Spanish lineup to not reach today. And he's trying to change that here in the top half of the 5th.
Yeah, Yenqing Liu, who racks up a lot of saves here in the CPBL, but
up a bunt attempt. That was a self-preservation move. That pitcher's coming up and in on him, and the only thing he can do is react and try to get out of the way. And unfortunately for Quitzer, it turns into a pop-up into foul ground and out number 1.
Yeah, trying to get that bunt down, get an extra run, but just talking about Yenqing Liu, the man on the mound right now. It is the 5th inning. This guy's used to coming in and collecting those saves, but this is a situation where you have to stop that bleeding. Bring a veteran presence in. The other thing, Tyler, too, that we talk all about pitch restrictions and counts and everything else. The one disadvantage you have when you have some of these big prospects coming from the United States, you have the restrictions from the clubs. Like, for example, the Oakland A's are going to say, yeah, listen, you can use Lin, but guess what? You got an inning, maybe an 2nd inning tops later on in the week, and that's it. And that creates all kinds of limitations in that one.
Gabriel Lino out of the 8th spot, doubled in the 2nd inning, 1 for 2 so far today, a 1-1 count on him. Quitzer trying to advance those runners to 2nd and 3rd. The 1-1's on the inside part of the plate to make it 1 and 2. And that pop out, I mean, innings like this, you get the first out, that feels so huge if you're in the field. I mean, certainly this game far from over, but man, Spain has looked outstanding to start this World Baseball Classic Qualifier. And if you can steal a win over the home team, it's not as though you're as good as through, but man, you certainly are well on the inside track to advancing to the 2026 World Baseball Classic. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Leno here in the top of the 5th. Swing and a miss. There's out number 2.
That's exactly what you need. First of all, you need a strike thrower, but getting some just quick outs. Getting your team back in the dugout. Get this team something to get excited about. These next couple innings, you got to do it quick.
So with 2 gone, that'll bring up the 9-hole hitter, Carlos Colmenares. Colmenares has been really fun to watch. He's made some outstanding plays in the field, singled and stole a base in the 4th. Tampa Bay Rays 21-year-old prospect. Reeves through the 1-0.
And I guarantee you the Tampa Bay Rays are tuning in. Maybe not live, they might still be asleep, some of the front office members, that's for sure, but they're going to take a look at some of these at-bats. You know, we saw it defensively on the field too, that good play he made early on in this game. Can he handle that left-on left slider you're about to see right now? He swung through one early in this at-bat.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Colmenares. Lou trying to clean up the 5th. And Colmenares will leave that one away.
Trying to freeze him with that fastball away.
Three balls and 2 strikes on Colmenares. That's going to release Estrada and Valerio with the pitch. A full count, 2-out offering upcoming.
Yeah, if you're Colmenares in this situation, you've got to be looking for something out and away, either a slider or a fastball, sit on that part of the plate and drive that ball into left center field.
Here comes the 3-2. Runners go, and a tapper foul. We'll do it again.
He hasn't shown the ability to pitch on the inner half of the plate. Got 2 strikes. He can sit on that slider down the way and just kind of react to that fastball and shoot that ball in the other part of the field.
And Ryan, again, I mean, something we talked about earlier in this game. Spain has done such a great job now at 3 different spots in this game of taking this crowd out of it.
Yeah.
There's very muted energy in this ballpark right now. 3-2, runners go, and that plunks the helmet of Colmenares, who thankfully is okay. But man, that is the 4th hitter in this inning that Chinese Taipei pitchers have lost after getting to 2 strikes.
And look, we didn't see this the last time we saw him in November. We saw plus command, putting guys away with 2 strikes quickly. We're just not seeing that. Tell you what, this Chinese Taipei team has come into this tournament and they look flat. That is for sure. Whether it's the youth, whether it's the fact the Team Spain jumped on them in that first inning. But man, they are on their heels right now here, day 1 at these qualifiers.
And man, I mean, not to belabor the point, but this is the quietest I think we have heard this stadium, the games that we've done here over the last 3 months. I mean, it is a very subdued crowd and a very tense crowd right now, because if Andres Angulo comes through here, Spain is sitting real pretty and already sitting well. A 4-run lead here in the top of the 5th, but the base is loaded for Angulo. He's played on the international stage for his native Colombia in World Cup events, and going to work here for Spain on a hitter's count. And it is 3 balls and no strikes with nowhere to put him.
Just nibbling right now.
Hearing some boos from the fans here at the Taipei Dome. Lu's got to come into the zone. 3-0 pitch, and he walked him. And everything is unraveling for Chinese Taipei here inside the dome. A 7-2 lead for Spain with a third run home here in the fifth. This is the second-ranked program on the international stage according to the WBSC rankings methodology. Now, that does not mean, that's not, you know, like a rankings poll in which there's just a group of media members that vote. That's a point system that is based on the success of teams all throughout your entire team program, your platform, U12, U15, U18, U23, your senior national teams, continental competitions, various international events. That shows you the success that Chinese Taipei has had in recent years. But man, it is a struggle here tonight for this squad.
Yeah, they've constantly dominated, as you know, Tyler, some of those youth events, those different age groups. They show up to every single one, collect those points, get that ranking.
One pitch, and that hits Beltray. I mean, this is a nightmare right now.
It is.
For Hao-Ju Tseng over in the first base dugout. And everything falling apart for Yenqing Lu.
And look, it's not just for, you know, going 0-1 that first night, losing to Spain, I guess, being upset. It's not just that. And look, just the repercussions this has on your pitching stuff, how you maneuver throughout your stuff, who you start. You have to start getting creative here. You got South Africa, who you feel like you can dominate. You be walking into that game tomorrow night on your heels. Have to figure out your pitching. You got to be economical, because then you got Sunday and potentially Tuesday too. They might be playing that final game on Tuesday as well.
This is wild, man. 4 runs home in this inning and another pitching change for Chinese Taipei. The first 4 men reached and they all scored after getting on against Yenqing Lu, unable to clean up the mess. Third pitcher of the inning coming on for Chinese Taipei in an 8-2 game. Third pitcher of the top half of the 5th inning for Chinese Taipei, as the right-hander Bo Hao-Chun is out of the bullpen on the first base side to try to somehow get his team back into that dugout and go to work to attempt to chip into a 6-run deficit, as Spain has arrived in Taipei and taken the home team to task here on this Friday night. A 6-run lead for Spain, a team that started the 2022 WBC qualifiers brilliantly and is doing the same here tonight. A line drive into center off the bat of Wander Encarnacion, who's got his 3rd hit of the night. 2 more home for Spain, and we are all of a sudden starting to approach the territory where we talk about the mercy rule, because Spain is laying the wood to Chinese Taipei.
Again, just another mistake, middle of the plate. Staying up the middle. Not how you drew it up. I will say this, Tyler, I was thinking about this as I was counting up some of these pitches. You mentioned the mercy rule. I mean, it's 10-2 right now. If you get to 7 innings, it's a 10-run deficit. You're subject to the mercy rule. That may work, as crazy as it sounds. The Chinese Taipei's favored just a little bit, so you're gonna have to blow through other pitches because you're gonna need them. We're talking Saturday, Sunday, and potentially Tuesday by the looks of it, if you drop this game to Spain.
Of the pitchers that Chinese Taipei has used in this game, only Yenqing Liu has crossed over the, check that, only Yongchen Liu has crossed over the 30 pitch threshold. So all of them would be available tomorrow, but man, I mean, that's not, it is not a good situation if you're Chinese Taipei thinking, all right, well, we've used 6 guys, but at least only one of them is unavailable for tomorrow. That means you are in a bad spot, and that's where this team sits right now. The mercy rule applies in a 10-run game after 7 innings. It would have to be a 15-run deficit after 5, but for Chinese Taipei, I mean, that was unthinkable coming into tonight.
Yeah, it really was.
2 runs in the first, 2 runs in the third, 6 home here in the 5th for Spain. 10 runs on 12 hits, 2 remain aboard, and Jesus Ustaris, who is 3 for 3 tonight, is retired for the first time as he strikes out to end the 5th. But a monster inning for Spain. 6 runs home and an 8-run lead as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning at the Taipei Dome. Well, if you're just waking up and tuning in to this night 1 matchup of the World Baseball Classic Qualifier in Taipei, the score bug is going to surprise you. It is a 10-2 lead for Spain over Chinese Taipei in the opening night of this 2025 qualifier. Back inside the Taipei Dome, Tyler Mon, Ryan Roland Smith, an 8-run lead for Spain, looking to qualify for its first WBC since 2013. And a 6th spot in the 5th inning, breaking this thing open as Yu Chang has gone on strikes to lead things off in the bottom of the 5th for his team. And I mean, again, it's kind of hard to believe that we're talking about this, but These are the early termination rules in this game. If a team is leading by 15 or more after 5 innings or 10 or more after 7, the game will end early. Now, an important note is at the bottom of your screen. The home team does not have to complete the inning once that threshold is reached. So let's say we go to the top of the 7th and this score holds to get us there, and then Spain plates a couple in the top of the 7th. This game is over. Chinese Taipei does not need to bat in the bottom of the 7th. You don't have to complete that inning. And man, Ryan, coming into the night tonight, we certainly did not feel like this was going to be the scenario. It wasn't nearly anywhere out of the realm of possibility that Spain could win this game.
Right.
But I definitely did not think we were going to be talking about the mercy rule on night number 1 applying to the home team.
That's for sure. But again, I keep going back to this. The fact that Chinese Taipei, I remember when I first got the first look at these rosters, you're like, hold on a minute, this is a completely flipped team to what we saw in that epic month of November in the Premier 12 for Chinese Taipei, and then going with this youth, a couple of young prospects in the United States, and I was thinking to myself, man, I mean, this is do or die right now. You can have a chance of not qualifying for the next World Baseball Classic. That's the one factor when you're looking at this.
3 balls and 2 strikes on Yenting Wu out of the 5 spot in the Chinese Taipei lineup. Right, the other thing this kind of makes you think of is the 3-2 is right over the heart of the plate, a called strike 3. Chinese Taipei started the 2023 Classic on a pretty bitter note as well. They lost to Panama on the opening day of that event 12-5. They got crushed. A 5 spot from Panama in the 4th inning, 6 runs in the 6th. And I mean, Chinese Taipei was barely competitive in that game. And somewhat ironically, it was against a team that had gone through the qualifiers to get there. Panama just blitzed Chinese Taipei on that first day. They rebounded and got a couple of wins over the next 2 games, but still fell short in the end, losing to Cuba on the final day to miss out on a ticket to Tokyo in the 2nd round in 2023. But, I mean, losing on night number 1, it happened then to put this team behind the 8 ball, and it looks as though it's going to happen tonight as well. It's a really good job by Wander Encarnacion, off balance, but able to get that throw over to first before Yu Gao could get to the bag to beat it out. And 3 up, 3 down, Chinese Taipei gone quietly in the 5th. We'll go to the 6th, Spain with a big lead. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of World Baseball Classic Incorporated and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Back at the Taipei Dome as we go to the top half of the 6th inning. We have a new catcher into the game for Chinese Taipei. Chang will get the nod behind the plate as Yuche Gao will take a seat. Some time off of his feet, I guess, is the aim here. You know that you might be punting on this game and just trying to get your best guys ready for tomorrow. But man, Ryan, this is not the spot that Haoju Chang and Chinese Taipei's staff thought they would be in tonight, as they will get South Africa coming up tomorrow. But they're going to need a miracle in this one to rally from what stands as an 8-run deficit here in the 6th. First pitch swinging, Roosberg Estrada is going to be retired for the first time tonight as he flies out to get things started.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to all of a sudden fast forward, get your head around tomorrow against South Africa, a team that you should be able to dominate on paper, that is for sure, and start to game prep. How are you going to do? How are you going to figure out this pitching stuff and everything else? But yeah, it's interesting too, Tyler. One thing watching these two teams and watching a lot of the teams that come in these qualifiers. We saw South Africa and Nicaragua today. We talked to the managers, talking about what this means for the development of baseball in that country, the exposure, watching some of the youth players, watching these, their heroes playing, whether it be South Africa, or especially Chinese Taipei, just panned around the crowd right there. You saw a lot of the young teams. Well, this Spanish team, you're going to wonder, a lot of these guys, they're not from Spain, right? It's not a situation where you're trying to build essentially the youth program. I'm sure you are to some extent, but all these guys are from the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, a couple of guys from Nicaragua as well. But it just means so much outside of just getting to the World Baseball Classic.
4-pitch walk issued to Edison Valerio. Here's a look at some of the elements of this Spain roster. Just one Spanish-born player. Everybody else from other places, primarily Latin America, and the one American-born member of the roster, Chris Quitzer, as well. But, as we noted, this 28-man roster, 24 players with Spanish passports, guys who have played in Spain, have lived in Spain. One of the guys we talked about earlier, who was a member of this coaching staff as the national team's training camp got started, Adam Jones, the former big league star with the Baltimore Orioles. Adam Jones, now a resident of Spain, lives in Barcelona. I remember when that news was announced and everybody was like, wait, Adam Jones is coaching for Spain? What is that? Well, he lives in Spain now. So getting involved in the international game. I mean, Mr. WBC, of course, with his indelible moment back in 2017, robbing Manny Machado at Petco Park in one of the biggest highlights of all time in WBC history, and a guy who from that point has really leaned into his role in spreading the game internationally. And the reason why, he's helping out with the Spain team, that's where he lives now. And that's sort of the storyline for a lot of these guys. They've moved over there, they've played over there, they've got roots, family who have moved, been from Spain, emigrated to other countries. So it's not as though these are guys without any tangible connection to Spain. Might not be their birthplace, but guys who have come together and really, since falling short of their goal to qualify for the 2023 World Baseball Classic, they have been mowing down the challenges in front of them. The next year, they got together and won a European Continental Championship for the first time since 1955. As a broken back pop-up left side, should be no trouble over there. It's up gently, 2 gone. Chris Quitzer is retired, and that'll bring up Gabriel Lino. But man, I mean, Ryan, you talk about getting yourself in the right position. This is the toughest matchup for the 3 other teams coming in. Playing against Chinese Taipei, the home team has the most advantageous schedule. They play the night game every night. They get to play in front of this crowd. If you can get one over the host squad, you're feeling great. And Gabriel Lino turns on one and hammers it out to left, and it is a 10-run lead for Spain in the top of the 6th. Lino leaves the yard. It's 12-2.
Tyler not just get that first win, get one over from this host country, but essentially really mercy rule, 10-run lead for Spain, making a statement here on day one.
107.3 miles per hour off the bat as Gabriel Lino demolishes his team's first home run of the 2025 Classic out to left. And Ryan, it's so weird. I mean, we're talking about the storylines as they pertain to Chinese Taipei, the way they started so slowly in the 23 Classic. For Spain, this is somewhat reminiscent of that beatdown win they had over the Czech Republic. Now, albeit that was on the second day of the 2022 qualifiers in Regensburg. They hung 21 runs on the Czechs in that game in a 21-7 win. And the Czech Republic had to rally late just to get that thing back to within 15 runs to make sure that it didn't end after 5 innings. And, I mean, this is quite a powerhouse showing tonight from Spain. Carlos Colmenares takes ball 2 up high. This is the best case scenario type of start for Nelson Prada and his guys, especially knowing that they've got to turn around and play the afternoon game with a 12 o'clock first pitch tomorrow against Nicaragua, which is coming off of a walk-off win today. 2-2 in the air. Chen is there, and that'll do it for Spain in the 6th. But a 2-run homer by Gabriel Lino that screams off the bat at over 107 miles an hour. And Spain leads it by 10 through 5.5. Bottom of the 6th inning, Tzuwei Lin leading things off for Chinese Taipei as his team finds itself in a stunner of a score right now. 12-2, Spain dominating this game. Chinese Taipei has not recorded a hit since Yenting Wu doubled following Yu Chang's homer in the 3rd, but they'll get one here as Tzuwei Lin leads off with a single, and the home team has a man on to get things started in the 6th.
Yeah, I mean, just stay alive. Look, it's a tough climb coming back, 10 runs down, but you don't want to be mercy ruled. Night number 1 here at the Taipei Dome. Trying to get back to the World Baseball Classic, that is for sure in front of your home fans.
Ramon Rosso, who has gotten a chance to just go out there and get his team outs. Coming up on 40 pitches here. His next one will be his 38th. He entered this game in relief of Elian Leyva, who was chased following a walk issued to Yujie Gao in the 3rd. In that inning, Chinese Taipei started it trailing 4-0. They got a leadoff man on an error. And then after Chen lined out sharply to second base, it was homer, double, walk. Elian Leva was pulled from the game, and it kind of felt like, all right, here comes Chinese Taipei. They're going to get this thing figured out. That has not been the case. Since then, just one man had reached prior to Lin's leadoff single a moment ago, and Rosso has been outstanding. Hasn't had to deal with much traffic. Hasn't had to deal with really any stress. He's got a 2-2 count on Push-Lin Wong.
Yeah, it's just that fourth inning, that leadoff walk, all of a sudden you think to yourself, okay, we talked about, is that command starting to slip? He's able to pick it back up and blow that fastball by a few hitters. Yeah.
3 balls and 2 strikes on Wong. Vicente Campos and Fernando Baez, the 2 throwing in the Spain bullpen. Count will stay full on Wong. Wong singled in the second inning, and Ryan, another thing that you really think about in this game, Chinese Taipei stranded 7 in its first 3 innings of the plate. Missed some big early chances in this game. And a swing and a miss. Wong is gone. That is the 6th strikeout in relief now for Rosso. And 1 away for Chang Lee.
Yeah, you get the feeling that approaching 50 pitches at 43 right now. They're going to mess with it, pushing past 50. That means he's done for the rest of this qualifier. He has looked good. He's got that plus velocity, enough command, overpowering. There's that good fastball just getting by hitters.
9-hole hitter Chang Lee. His fans just desperately trying to will this offense to life here in the 6th. But Ryan, you made a point a little while ago that gets even more relevant now. It almost feels like if you're Chinese Taipei and you do get mercy ruled in this game, you have to look at it from the standpoint that it will save you some arms that would pitch in the 8th or 9th. I mean, if you get a run here and you have to run this thing to 9 innings, I'm not sure how much good that does you, because that's 2 more innings of work that your bullpen is going to have to perform. As a strikeout there of Lee will send us back to the top of the order.
Well, think about how big Sunday is going to be, right? You got Chinese Taipei taking on Nicaragua. Let's say that this stays the way it is. They're going to drop that. You're going to see a pitching change right here to keep him, because Sunday is going to be huge. Spain have to just take care of South Africa. Let's say they, hypothetically, they lose tomorrow, take care of South Africa. They are good to go back in the World Baseball Classic. So see Prada right now, he's in the driver's seat. Big thanks to that man, high-fiving his teammates as he walks off.
Fantastic work from Ramon Rosso, who will head to the showers after a great Friday night in Taipei. Spain's going to the bullpen with a 10-run lead in the 6th. New arm into the game for Spain as we move along in the bottom of the 6th inning is the right-hander Vicente Campos. La Guaira, Venezuela, who will go to work against Jia Lin. You see that scrape on the left side of Jia Lin's chin. He took a little flare to left field off of the chin after a diving effort to try to make the catch, and he ropes this one past Jesus Ustaris and down the right field line. Rounding second, Jia Lin digs for third. He's in there, and it is first and third now with 2 gone in the bottom of the 6th. First hit of the day for Lin out of the leadoff spot.
Yeah, sneaking by him, just too much ex-velo if that ball was on the ground. And that's a tough play you're gonna react on right there for your Ustaris.
So first and third with 2 away for Chang. The designated hitter out of the 2 spot of the order, 0 for 3 tonight. But he did reach on an error and score on Yu Chang's homer in the 3rd. And I mean, this is just a stunner of a night with Spain doing everything right to this point. Fans are back into it, trying to get this team some life here in the bottom of the 6th. Campos lines up the 0-2. A foul ball will keep Chun alive. Another 0-2 pitch to left and snared before it could get by Encarnacion. And the inning is over. Wander Encarnacion, cat-like over at third base, pulls in the liner from Chang. It has been that kind of night for Spain. Everything going right for the representatives from Europe. And we head to the top half of the 7th in a 10-run game. Going to the top of the 7th inning in a game that has been all Spain tonight at the Taipei Dome. A 12-2 lead for the world's number 24 ranked national team program as a new arm into the game for Chinese Taipei. And this is a weird one because this is the guy who we initially heard start this game tonight, Shang Shu, who will get the nod. One of the brightest young stars in Taiwanese baseball powers in a first pitch fastball for strike one. And we heard there was potentially an injury at play, which is what lifted him from the start, but he's out there now. And it does kind of make you wonder, why do you not go with this arm if this was your best positioned guy for this game? And presumably we'll learn, you know, some reasons over the coming hours and day or so as the Taiwanese media covers this finish. But man, this is strange. And to use him in this circumstance also, why use him now in a 10-run game?
I mean, the only thing, and I'm trying to figure this out because this is strange, but the only thing I can think of is, all right, these next couple games, as we know, crucial. Get those W's. Get him out there for an inning. Get loose. Get his rhythm, his timing, whatever it may be. Get some work in. We're going to need you, say, Sunday.
That one's back to the mound and off of his glove, and a terrific effort by Chang, but that's going to be an infield single for Angel Beltre.
Now, looking ahead, Tyler, as we look at the schedule, I mentioned Sunday is going to be huge for multiple reasons. But some of the implications here for Chinese Taipei, we talked about the World Baseball Classic. They put themselves on the back foot because of that first game and the game against Cuba. But look at the runs they've given up. When we have a tiebreaker situation, which is looking ultimately like this could be the situation, Nicaragua gets another win, Spain gets another win, Chinese Taipei taking care of the next two, whatever it may be. All of a sudden, the runs given up is going to be crucial.
I mean, that really is.
They've given up 10. Excuse me, 12.
One thing that looms very large right now for Chinese Taipei, like let's, you know, just to theorize, Spain has to turn around from this game, play a really good Nicaragua team tomorrow in less than 15 hours. It's a, you know, you got to get back to the hotel. You're coming off the energy of a game like this. You got to sleep fast, get to the ballpark a little bit earlier, get ready to go. But let's say tomorrow is a tough turnaround for Spain and they drop that game to Nicaragua. All of a sudden, Nicaragua is 2-0. Spain's 1-1. If Chinese Taipei takes care of business tomorrow night against South Africa, they're 1-1. Then say that Chinese Taipei goes and beats Nicaragua the following day. All of a sudden, we got a three-way 2-1 tie as a 3-6-1 double play off the bat of Wander Encarnacion will wrap things up here in the 7th. Wander Encarnacion retired for the first time today and hopefully is okay out beyond first base. Man, I thought for a second maybe that was just a frustration thing, but the training staff hustling to Encarnacion out past first, and that will do it for Spain here in the 7th. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Chinese Taipei needs a run to keep it going. Wander Encarnacion retired for the first time today on that double play ball. 3-6-1 turned to end the top half of the 7th inning, and we've got some changes because of it. Carlos Colmenares will move over to third base for Spain as Encarnacion's day is done. And a new infielder has entered this game. I believe that is Edgar Rondon, who is out at second base. It is Rondon. But either way, none of it's really going to matter unless Chinese Taipei can score at least 1 run in this inning to keep this going. They are 3 outs away from being run ruled on the first night of the World Baseball Classic Qualifier at the Taipei Dome.
And this man right here batting, he's going to think up his best motivational speech tonight after the game with his young crew, the captain of this team.
Chen lifts one down the left field line. This one slicing away from a pursuing Chris Quitzer. And check that, it's not Quitzer, a new left fielder into the game for Spain, as well as that one bounds down, and a leadoff double for Chen gets things started here in the bottom half of the 7th inning.
Again, Tyler, I get it, you don't want to get mercy ruled, but do you want to continue going? You're going to need pitching next couple nights.
Leadoff man in scoring position, and it brings up Chang. First pitch to him is strike 1. New left fielder into the game is Frank Hernandez, who is out there in place of Quitzer. And quickly, no balls and 2 strikes on Chang. And yeah, I mean, Ryan, the conversation that we've had a little bit is obviously you don't just want to give up on a game if you're Chinese Taipei, but how well does it serve you to potentially lose a 12-3 game in 9 innings and have to figure out pitchers to get the next 6 outs versus ending this thing earlier and saving as many arms for tomorrow as you can in what is now really amounting to maybe not quite a must-win, but basically a must-win against South Africa. Back in the 3rd, it looked like the Minister of Defense had come to rescue his guys yet again, just like he did in the 2023 World Baseball Classic. Chang leaving the yard. That cut a 4-0 deficit to 4-2. And it felt like, all right, we got a ball game now. And since then, it has been all Spain in this one. 8 runs tacked onto that lead, 6 of them in the 5th inning. And then what could be the 2 game-deciding runs on Gabriel Lino's 2-out homer in the 6th. And here in the 7th, Chinese Taipei trying to cash in the leadoff double from Chen, and he's going to advance to 3rd on a very wild pitch.
This ball just slips away. That was a breaking ball. See that ball, just no chance on the side of his hand.
So Chang 1 station away. He can keep this game going, and will if he scores. So as Chang lifts one in the air out to right. That may well be deep enough. Angulo there, tagging but holding Chen as he's back into the bag. So just a fly out for Chang.
The ball he can handle. You know, Tyler, people have asked me in the past, you know, when you lose in a game like this, you just kind of like check out and say, you know what, okay, let's think about tomorrow. I'm telling you right now, we've talked about the strategic effect of, you know what, get mercy rule. That means you can save some arms in the 8th and 9th inning. I'm telling you right now, offensively, even this pitching staff, every element of your team, they don't care. You do not want to be mercy ruled in a situation here in your home ballpark.
And they're not going to be, at least here in the 7th. An RBI single for Nianting Wu brings home Chen, and it's a 9-run game. So this thing will go to the 8th at least, as Chinese Taipei stays alive on the RBI single by Wu.
Look, Ty, we've talked about the energy in this ballpark, right, a lot. Just how deflated, whatever. 12-3 right now. Now I'm looking around, everyone's on their feet. Score a run, everyone's fired up, like they just tied it up.
Man, and we saw that, I mean, the last day of Pool A in the 2023 Classic as well, when Chinese Taipei needed that win over Cuba and honestly got pretty well dominated. They gave up 6 runs in the first 2 innings. They were down 7-0 going to the 9th, and it was the same way as a bouncing ball back to the mound, out number 2, as the vaxxed up Chang, who came into this game in place of Yuche Gao, is retired. I remember that too. It's a 7-0 game going to the 9th. Nobody had left. They're on their feet. They're loud, trying to get their team back into it. Didn't end up working out in that game. And for the moment, it remains pending if it'll work out tonight, as a 10-run game has dipped to 9 here in the 7th, and Chinese Taipei with another man in scoring position for Ziwei Lin. Couldn't hold up there, 1-1 on it. This is the noise in a ballpark in Taipei in a game the home team is losing by 9 runs in the 7th. balls and 2 strikes on Ziwei Lin. In the air to center. Beltre got a late jump on it, but back onto the track. He's able to pull it in, and that'll do it for Chinese Taipei in the 7th. But 1 run will keep this game going. We head to the 8th, and Spain's lead sits at 9. 12-3 our score on a dominant night for Spain here at the Taipei Dome. Moving into the top half of the 8th inning, a new arm into the game for Chinese Taipei. Yunwen Chen will be the latest arm onto the mound. Chen is the 6th reliever to come into this game for the world's #2 ranked program. And Chinese Taipei has certainly had more struggles than you might suggest for the world #2 tonight. They trail it by 9 as we go to the 8th. Jesus Ustaris will lead things off for the home team. The first pitch is there for a strike to him. Got to issue a correction for something we were talking about last inning. We mentioned that Chang Shu came on in relief, and we were talking about how he was the originally slated starter for tonight. That was the other Shu on this roster, Ro Shi Shu. So the miscommunication of, well, why are you throwing him here in this game if he was going to start and he ended up not being able to start? That was the other Shu on this roster. As the flyout will get things started here for Ustari. So makes a little bit more sense with that confusion that it was not the originally slated and then scratched starter. As Roosberg Estrada will step into the batter's box. The engine of this lineup tonight, the 3, 4, and 5 spots for Spain, which after their 3rd trip to the plate had gone a combined 7 for 8 with a walk, and had reached all 9 times they had gone to the plate and had scored 7 combined runs. We got a pitch timer violation on the reliever for Chinese Taipei here, Chang. We've seen a lot of those so far here on this first day, which, you know, somewhat to be expected. It's different mechanics that you're working with here for these WBC games than in the CPBL or certainly in the Spanish First Division and elsewhere. Ball and a strike on Estrada. Roosberg tonight, 2 for 3, 3 RBIs in his first 2 trips to the plate. He also walked and scored a run in the 5th inning. All Spain tonight, 12 runs on 14 hits. And there is no man prouder than a guy who is tuned in Barcelona right now, and that is the hitting coach of this team, Adam Jones, who certainly did some really good work with this squad during his week with them in Barcelona, because, man, to come out and turn out 12 runs on 14 hits against this pitching staff on the first night.
It's the Adam Jones hitting clinic. Week long.
Heck of a start for these guys. 2-2 on Estrada. And now it's full. Playable, might get into foul ground, actually will stay fair as Sun Shen Lee puts it away. 2 gone.
You mentioned all the pitches, Tyler. They've all pretty much stayed under 30 pitches. Things are available tomorrow. However, you get to a situation against South Africa if you're Chinese Taipei and you have to start burning through that bullpen. Talk about Sunday, how important that is. Chinese Taipei have got Nicaragua coming up on Sunday. So you're going to be very efficient tomorrow night.
No balls and a strike on Edison Valerio. Another guy who's been, I mean, you can say this up and down the lineup for Spain. Another guy who's been really good tonight at the plate, Valerio. RBI single and a run scored in that 6-run 5th inning for his team. He walked and scored what right now is one of Spain's final 2 runs on the 2-run homer cranked by Gabrielino in the 6th. A ball that got Chang behind the plate. Now, one thing to keep in mind, and obviously 2 outs, bases empty, it might not come into play here, but if Spain tacks on 1 right now, this game is over. Once you get to the end of the 7th inning, when a team hits that 10-run lead threshold, the home team does not need to bat to complete the bottom of that inning. It's just over when you reach 10 runs. And Spain sits on the doorstep of that right now with a 12-3 lead. Waiting, and a 1-2 1-2 up and in. Three balls and 2 strikes on Valerio. Full count offering coming from Chang, and it's lined foul. Valerio will get another crack at it.
I think to keep in mind too, we got a chance to see Elion Leiva pitch to start this game against Spain. This is a showcase for a lot of these hitters. I know a lot of them they play in Mexico.
That'll get through. Liner back up the middle from Valerio, and he's on with a 2-out single as the potential game-ending run.
But a lot of these Spanish hitters, man, they're trying to keep that career going, playing in Mexico. But this is a showcase for them too. This part of the world, there's a chance to play really good baseball, whether it's here in Taiwan, in Japan, Korea. So you come rake against plus velocity, all of a sudden you got Japanese scouts, Korean scouts paying attention.
That's one of the things Adam Jones said he communicated to these guys, is that there are teams across the globe that are always looking for players, and teams that are especially trying to find sort of that next undiscovered talent.
Well, I mean, Elion Leiva signed a deal to play in Taiwan after that World Baseball Classic.
The amount of times that we have seen those stories, whether, it's here in Taiwan or in Korea or in Japan, or the stories that have come to Major League Baseball. A really good friend of yours, Peter Moylan. His career, of course, launched by the 2006 World Baseball Classic.
Great example.
No pitch, 2 balls and no strikes.
I mean, that story is incredible. Peter Moylan played rookie ball, got released. 8 years later, he's pitching the World Baseball Classic, signs with the Braves. That year's in the big leagues. Unbelievable.
2-0 pitch outside, 3 balls and no strikes. Frank Hernandez, who entered this game in left field in place of Chris Quitzer. Man, I don't know where that one missed. And that is ball 4. Might have been a little bit below the knees. So Hernandez, I guess, just a little bit out of the zone of that lower border. That's a pretty good pitch.
No challenge system just yet. We're seeing that in spring training in the U.S. about to be implemented. What do you think of the challenge system, Tyler?
I love it.
I love it too, man. I think it's great.
It takes so little. I saw this posted today by fantastic baseball writer J.J. Cooper of Baseball America, who said, for anybody complaining that the challenge system will make baseball games longer, I can assure you, after watching it for the last several years in the minor leagues, it is a much quicker decision to go to a review and have a pitch tracked and immediately spotted where it landed in or out of the zone than an argument about balls and strikes. It's so much quicker. It's so efficient. I really like it. 1-1 pitch inside. 2 balls and a strike now on Lino.
I mean, every guy in AAA who I've come across during the 2024 season, pitchers, hitters, hey, the challenge system, love it straight away. There's zero hesitation. So absolutely love it.
Last year at the AAA National Championship game, broadcast got to do here on MLB Network with Jim Callis of MLB Pipeline, and we talked about it a lot. It just, if you don't know that it is in effect, you might not even realize that it happened. It's so seamless and it's so quick. As the 3-1 is lifted out to right. Poshuan Wong back and now in, will put it away, and that'll send us to the bottom of the 8th. Chinese Taipei staying alive with a run in the 7th. They still trail it big, but they'll get at least 3 more outs to work with as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning in a 12-3 game at the Taipei Dome. Back at the Taipei Dome, we are headed to the bottom of the 8th inning in a game that has been absolutely dominated by Spain. And as we head into the bottom of the 8th, new arm into the game 4. This 9-run leading Spanish national team, Fernando Baez, will take over on the mound out of Sabana Grande de Palenque in the Dominican Republic. Tyler Monroy, Roland Smith, it has been all Spain all night, and really since Jump Street. 2 runs in the top of the 1st inning for Spain. Lead never got smaller than that. They led it 4-0 going to the bottom of the 3rd. Chinese Taipei got 2 back on a Chang home run there, but then Spain added 6 in the 5th, 2 in the 6th. Chinese Taipei keeping this game going with a run in the bottom of the 7th inning. But here in the 8th, Spain fully in command. The leadoff man for Chinese Taipei, Poshun Wong. 1 for 3 tonight. Takes ball 4, and I think everybody thought that was strike 2. Wong didn't even leave the batter's box, and now he will, and he'll head up the first baseline.
Yeah, one thing too is this game gets late. Yeah, approaching the 3-hour mark. The one thing with these umpires, staying consistent with this zone. It's been a little tight throughout this game.
Here is Chang Lee. 0 for 2 with a walk and a stolen base out of the 9 spot. You know, the thing they say about baseball, of course, there's no clock, and as long as you can keep hitting and keep the line moving, you keep the sun in the sky. But for Chinese Taipei, the sun is very, very close to setting here tonight. Even with 9 hits on the board, the story of this night for Chinese Taipei is missed opportunities. They have left 10 men on base, and 7 of those were in their first 4 innings. I mean, it was a 4-2 game after the 4th, and Chinese Taipei had left 7 on. Pitch there for a called strike 1. And with 3-1 in the air on the left side, that'll stay in fair territory where Carlos Colmenares gobbles it up for the first out of the 8th.
The other thing with that man right there too, the manager's saying, you know, you talk about all the pitches staying sub 30 pitches and you got availability, everything else. However, yeah, when you're rolling in these next couple days, you got to essentially look these guys in the eye or figure out who is going to step up in regards to throwing strikes. Who's going to step up, put someone away with 2 strikes. You had so much success just a couple months ago in November, whereas essentially automatic, you can get so many different options. It's tough because you have to make those decisions and follow your gut, especially when these next couple games are so crucial because they are on their heels because of the runs given up. If this is a tiebreaker situation, Tyler, which it very easily could be.
Chow and Lin back at the top of the order. 1 for 4 tonight. He was robbed in the 1st inning on a terrific play by Carlos Colmenares on a bounding ball back up the middle. As deals 3-1. I mean, it is certainly not the way that Chinese Taipei wanted to start this World Baseball Classic Qualifier, but for those of us who are lucky enough to just get to watch and be part of this event, it's exciting to think of the storylines that are to come, because after tonight, we've already got 4 teams with very distinct storylines. Nicaragua is able to outlast South Africa. Obviously a big win for Nicaragua to get the first one as a fly ball to center field. Well struck. Beltre got a great jump on that one, and he's there to put it away. But South Africa played really, really well today. And that team, I mean, I think ordinarily you would look at South Africa and think they're going to be overmatched on more nights than not. If they can do the things that they did on the pitcher's mound today, which is continually throw strikes. They did not issue a walk until an intentional walk in the 10th inning. South Africa played really good baseball. They were fundamentally sound. They didn't get the big hits that they needed, but that team could make some noise here. Nicaragua, same deal. Terrific work on the pitcher's mound. They come through late. They get a big win. And obviously Spain, best case scenario kind of start after this. And for Chinese Taipei, very similar to what we saw with this team 2 years ago. A loss on night number 1 puts you behind the 8 ball, but you still can control your own destiny, at least in terms, at the very least, of getting into that game on Tuesday. With your games over the next couple of days, I mean, there are going to be a whole lot of fun storylines to follow over the next few days. We are just getting started here in Taipei.
Yeah, how many times we come into these tournaments and we sort of outline what we think is going to happen. Chinese Taipei, they're the favorite. South Africa's going to struggle. Whatever it may be, you know, however you sort of map this out. And then all of a sudden, yeah, we saw that the tiebreaker in 2023. Yeah, the Premier 12 just recently where Chinese Taipei beat Japan. Anything can happen in these tournaments.
2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 gone. Chang with a man away from first. That's another one foul. For the first time tonight, you do see a handful of empty seats here at the Taipei Dome, and this team trailing big. 2-2. Full count. Pitch on the way, runner out from first, and ball 4 comes in tight on Chun, and it's first and second with 2 gone in the 8th. And that'll bring up the heart of the order with Che Shen-Chun, the captain, stepping in.
You see Prada on the top step. If it's just a conversation or you feel like you're going to burn another pitch, you don't want to have to do that. You want your guys to get a big lead, just go out and throw strikes.
Nelson Prada, the manager of this team, minor league manager in the Miami Marlins organization, takes the ball from the right-hander Fernando Baez, and he will go to the bullpen here in the bottom of the 8th. Chinese Taipei just trying to fight to stay alive. They got first and second with a new arm coming into the game, 2 gone here in the bottom of the 8th. New arm takes over on the pitcher's mound for Spain in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Daniel Alvarez inherits the mantle from Fernando Baez, and also inherits runners at first and second. With 2 gone, going to work against the captain of this Chinese Taipei team, Chen. Chen, who is the superstar, the hero in Chinese Taipei's Premier 12 championship run back in November. Trying to make something happen here in the 8th, but he's going to come up empty as the pop out to second settles into the glove of Edgar Rondon and wraps things up in the bottom half of the 8th inning. It has been all Spain tonight, a rout of Chinese Taipei as we go to the 9th. 12-3 our score. Spain trying to close out a night 1 victory in the World Baseball Classic Qualifier. The 7th reliever of the game for Chinese Taipei will take the ball to open the 9th inning. Dongming Li will get things started in this likely final frame of regulation baseball. As we welcome you back to the Taipei Dome on a Friday evening here in Taiwan. The first pitch blown by Carlos Colmenares, the Tampa Bay Rays prospect, who finds himself in an 0-1 count. Dongming Li, the 8th pitcher of the night for Chinese Taipei. I have officially run out of lines for pitchers in my scorebook.
Yeah, and look, some of these guys pitch tomorrow, therefore not available Sunday. Again, I know they're all under 30 pitches, however, man, you blow through it like this. Spain puts you 9 runs deep. Young staff, struggling to throw strikes. And Tyler, I'm telling you right now, if this keeps up in regards to the next couple of days, in regards to the inability to get guys out with 2 strikes or throw strikes essentially from this pitching staff, man, Chinese Taipei is going to have to really question themselves as bringing in this young team and making that decision.
Leadoff man gone on strikes. Here are those pitch restrictions, Ryan. These play such a big factor.
So a lot of guys, look, sub 30, it means they can pitch tomorrow. There you go. The one that's highlighted, the 2 consecutive days, you're going to have a couple guys, regardless of South Africa, how easily you think you're going to beat them on paper, how much stronger of a team you are. Some of those guys are not going to be available Sunday.
Being that I am a sports broadcaster, one of the reasons why that is because I'm bad at math. I don't have transferable skills for real jobs, but I miscalculated the amount of, this is 9 pitchers, 8 relievers, 9 total pitchers used tonight by Chinese Taipei. And, you talk about the amount of pitches obviously being a factor. Back-to-back days is a very big factor.
Yeah.
Pitch on back-to-back days, there's mandatory rest that follows that. This becomes a really difficult puzzle to manage now, to find the right pieces if you're Hao-Ju Tseng. As a one-out walk goes to Andres Angulo here. This is as bad of a scenario after day one as things get for that man right there, Weiping Lin, and the manager, Hao-Ju Tseng, of this Chinese Taipei team.
And look, not getting ahead of ourselves at all, but let's say tomorrow, South Africa, let's say they have a couple good at-bats, or a situation where, yeah, you got one of your veterans. Give you an example. A guy in Yen Ching Lu who came in pretty much to put the fire out and it turned into a disaster. You have that 2 or 3 times, and you're in trouble when you're talking figuring out Sunday and navigating your way through.
Two balls and no strikes on a former consensus top 100 prospect in baseball. Longtime Texas Rangers prospect, a former big leaguer. Beltre has a catch made on a looping liner out to second. A nice play out there by Zhou Lin. Throw to first was not in time to double up on Gulo, but great job by Lin not to give up on that play as Beltre is retired.
Lin's showed some of that plus defense we saw when he got his way up to the major leagues. Really nice play, just staying with this, just cutting those steps down, really doubling off. Angulo at first base.
2 gone now, and it brings up the new second baseman into this game, Edgar Rondon. Wander Encarnacion exiting, and we'll get an update on his status after the game tonight. Trying to beat out a double play ball, and he kind of crumpled past the first base bag. It moved Carlos Colmenares over to third base, and Rondon entering this game and taking over at second. And a check swing is a called strike 3 on the swing, and that will do it for Spain here in the top half of the ninth. Chinese Taipei, 3 outs left to work a miracle as they trail this thing by 9, going to the bottom of 9. Remain for Chinese Taipei to try to make something happen tonight in trailing in a stunner. A 9-run deficit for the world's #2 ranked program. As we head into the bottom of the ninth, Yu Chang has been the lone highlight generator of the night for Chinese Taipei. His 2-run homer in the bottom of the 3rd inning Turned a 4-0 deficit into 4-2. Felt like we were going to have a ball game, and since then, Chinese Taipei has had basically nothing. Got one run in the bottom of the 7th to extend this game. Would have been a mercy rule game otherwise. And here in the 9th, trailing by 9 on the opening night of this World Baseball Classic Qualifier. And Ryan, you made a point a little while ago, Chishan Chen, the captain, you said he's going to have to summon all of that leadership ability after tonight to talk to this young team about the fact that an effort like this, I mean, you can't have another one of these.
Yeah, that's right. And again, I guarantee you, I'm not saying it's going to be a State of the Union or anything like that, but there's going to be something said just to sort of break the ice. So players can look each other in the eye, especially some of these first-timers wearing that Chinese Taipei uniform. So I guarantee you, look, we've seen him in this role. He's been a really good team captain. We saw him take on that in November as well, but just something quick, just something where you get on the bus and go home and feel pretty good about tomorrow.
One of the lone bright spots in this lineup for Chinese Taipei. That's the 3rd hit of the night for the veteran Yenting Wu. 31-year-old corner infielder. RBI single in the 7th after his double that followed Yu Chang's homer in the 3rd. And now a single here in the 9th. And we'll get a pinch hitter here out of the 6th spot in the order in the person of Wenji Chun. Man, 9 pitchers in this game for Chinese Taipei. Lifted their starting catcher, Yuche Gao, fairly early in this game. After 6 innings, when this was already seemingly well out of hand, it was 12-2 at that point. To get him a little bit more time off his feet. You know, I adopted that coach's cliche, manager's cliche, get some time off your feet. Nobody ever says that in normal life. It's a good coach-manager line on one foul back. Chen waiting on a 1-2 pitch, and takes a called strike 3 on a beautiful breaking ball over the outer part of the plate from Daniel Alvarez. And Alvarez in Spain are 1 out away from a monster opening night win here at the Taipei Dome.
Yeah, all that offense too, not to mention some of the pitching. Rosso coming in from the bullpen, saving some of those bullpen arms. Got dialed in, and then just had plenty of offense to go with it.
So with 2 gone and Wu over at first, Zhuwei Lin, a 2-for-4 night to this point for him, the former Boston Red Sox. Double with 1 out in the 2nd inning for Lin, a single leading off the 6th. He was left on base each time. 2 balls and a strike on him. We have just passed the 3-hour mark a while ago in this game. And Ryan, to the point that we made earlier about, well, if you extend this thing a little while longer, you got to find more arms to get you through the 8th and 9th. Chinese Taipei did end up using an arm in each of those innings, Zhenwen Chen and Dongming Li. There's 2 more arms you have to be mindful of using again tomorrow, because if you do, those guys have a mandatory day of rest. It's going to be really interesting to see the way Hao Ju-sung and Wei-Peng Lin and Chen Ming Wang, the former big leaguer who is the bullpen coach for Chinese Taipei. Interesting to see the way they try to manage this thing over the next couple days as Wei Lin takes ball 4. He's on for the 3rd time tonight. Just a visit to the mound here. This is Spain's pitching coach, Manuel Oliveira.
You're giving that man just a little bit extra time. You certainly don't want to have to burn another arm right here, that is for sure. A lot of nervous fans, a lot of nervous players, coaches. Right now, just thinking about the decision to have this young team who are plenty capable, don't get me wrong, but especially coming off that monster success in the month of November.
On the right field line, that's a fair ball, and it's going to be extra bases for the 8-hole hitter Po Shun Wong, rounding 3rd base and then holding there late. Wei Lin, Yenting Wu scores, and it is 12-4 now in the bottom of the 9th.
They will not go quietly. This is the other thing too. Some of these at-bats, you can start to get a little lackluster because you know about the fact you're not going to come back. You start getting your head around tomorrow. However, finish on a positive note, finish on a little bit of energy, that little gesture, that non-verbal back into the dugout. Make this one a little bit more digestible before you go into South Africa 24 hours from now.
Another pinch hitter for Chinese Taipei, Chung Rae-sung, another CTBC Brothers product. And I know that is spelled Chung J-U-I Sung, but that is pronounced Ray.
I believe it.
That one slips through the legs of Lino, and the wild pitch will bring in the 5th run for Chinese Taipei.
Just yanking that ball, no chance to knock that down. On the flip side too, if you're Spain, you don't want any little frustration at the end of this one. Take care of business, get off the field. Regroup for that noon game tomorrow against Nicaragua.
That's a very good point, because the 2-0 is fouled. I mean, if you're Spain right now, the longer you're out there trying to get this last out, that's less time. You're back at the hotel, resting up for tomorrow for that quick turnaround.
That's right.
Po Shun Wong over at 3rd, 2-1 pitch, swing and a miss. And Chinese Taipei down to its final strike here in the 9th. Daniel Alvarez trying to finish off this win. 2-2 pitch. Fly ball, shallow left. This actually barely escapes the infield as Colmenares puts it away, and Spain rolls into the Taipei Dome and deals a knockout blow on night number 1 to the home team.
And they are absolutely in the driver's seat. You just knocked off the favorite. You have got South Africa, you got Nicaragua tomorrow, however, you got South Africa on Sunday. You are in such a good position if you are Spain right now. For Chinese Taipei, look, you burned through a ton of pitches. You've got to be very economical tomorrow night against South Africa. You look at that matchup, you feel like on paper you are so much stronger than that team, but man, what an upset. This crowd goes home just kind of stunned right now. A lot of second guessing may be happening, but if you're a veteran player on this Chinese Taipei team, you've got to regroup, get that get those chins up, come back and take care of business tomorrow.
So tomorrow, 2 more monster games loom as Chinese Taipei will try to rebound from a night 1 loss, and Spain will try to move 1 step further to the 2026 World Baseball Classic. Final lines in this one, 12 runs on 15 hits and 1 error for Spain, 5 runs on 11 hits, no errors for Chinese Taipei. But the home team behind the 8 ball after night number 1. We will say goodbye for the final time on this Friday evening from Taipei. Spain on to tomorrow afternoon to take on Nicaragua with a 12 o'clock local time first pitch. And Chinese Taipei, back in the night game, will square off with South Africa. For Ryan Rowland-Smith and our entire crew, my name is Tyler Mon. We'll talk to you tomorrow from the Taipei Dome on day number 2 of the World Baseball Classic Qualifier.